see a larger appeal on the horizon. You're surrounded by journalists. Hold your position.
Overnight success. The Blazinator 3000. Double blaze. Right. That's misinformation.
Marking clearing order inbound.
That's just wrong.
You're surrounded by journalists. Hold your position.
Come, get up. Trust the experts. Vibe coding. We are experts. Founder mode. Vibe coding.
I see multiple journalists on the horizon. Stand by.
Experts.
UAV online.
Blaze. Double blaze. Triple blaze. Double kill. Vibe code. Wrong. Pump is up. Blaze.
Team deathmatch.
We are experts. Triple blaze. That's just wrong. Right.
Marking clearing order inbound.
Come, get up.
You're surrounded by journalists. Hold your position.
Strike one. Strike two. Activate Golden Retriever mode. Trust the experts.
Marking clearing order inbound.
Vibe coded.
I see multiple journalists on the horizon. Stand by.
Founder
You're watching TBPN. Today is Friday. It's the day before Valentine's Day, 2026.
That's right.
We're live from the TBPN Ultradome, the Temple of Technology.
We should have mentioned
Fortress
Valentine's
of
Day
Yeah, earlier.
2 months ago, and then again 1 month
I think
ago.
most of
and then
the
again.
audience is prepped for sure. But we have some ideas, some recommendations if you're looking for advice this Valentine's Day. We, of course, live from the TBPN Ultradome, the Temple of Technology, the Fortress of Finance, the capital of capital. And here's an idea for Valentine's Day. Ramp.com, this Valentine's Day, show her you care about your future together by putting all of your couple's spending on Ramp, because nothing says I will provide for our family like pulling out a Ramp card. Knows you handle business.
That's right.
Anyway.
Handling business.
The big news, Anthropic has raised $30 billion at $380 billion post-money valuation. We've all seen the revenue chart, 10x growth, 4 years in a row, 100 million, a billion, now 14 billion. Will they do 100? That's the question. Will they be at $100 billion revenue run rate by the end of the year? They're growing on track to hit that, which is crazy and completely unprecedented. But again, they're going after all of SaaS. They're going after all of software. They're going after all of labor, all of white-collar work.
All in your job specifically.
Yeah, it's not looking good for you. Anyway, no, we're joking.
Never doom.
Never doom. There's plenty
Adapt.
of opportunity. There are plenty of good potential outcomes. Dario has been on Dwarkesh Patel today, and he did something else with Ross Douthat, and so there's a number of places where you can go to hear his latest takes on the good ending and what he's guiding towards. Be interesting to follow. The question is, what happens to the companies that are currently under pressure with the Anthropic narrative? They have to answer this question of, is Anthropic just going to steamroll you? What is your real source of strength?
Yeah, not just Anthropic, but the labs.
Yeah.
Every YC company that is building an AI native, any company that is, slapping AI native on their website.
Yeah.
Everyone's going after the opportunity.
So we coined a phrase.
We decided to coin something.
Yes.
It was time to coin out.
And before we tell you the coinage, let me tell you about Cisco. This Valentine's Day, give her the gift of enterprise-grade networking this Valentine's Day so your home Wi-Fi never drops during movie night, because nothing kills the mood like buffering during a rom-com. Get on Cisco.
Head over to cisco.com. We decided, so how do you, what is a phrase that you can generally apply to businesses that can survive and then hopefully thrive in during this moment in time?
An era when
I think
intelligence is too cheap to meter.
Yeah, so the question, earnings cycle last couple of weeks, every CEO has gone on. If you had to answer the question, talk about the threat of AI, if you just had to answer the question, basically the companies that were just, the entire earnings call was just generally about AI, if you're like a CoreWeave or something like that, that's a little bit more straightforward. But if you have to answer the question, do you have a durable moat right now with AI progress, your stock is probably going to sell off. But either way, kind of however you answer it. But there's a second question, which is are you a true beneficiary? So do you have a durable moat? And then are you a true beneficiary? So we decided to coin the phrase unstoppable. Unstoppable. So these are companies that we'll get into that have some type of moat in an era where it feels like more code could be written in the next 12 months than in all of human history. I was kind of running the numbers. It seems
the moat
possible.
Is specifically not, you're a company that has just spent 10 years writing a bunch of lines of code, and it would take a startup a lot of time and money, and they would have to hire a lot of engineers and write a lot of code to create a copy of what you have. It's no.
So to rebuild Salesforce as a platform, you would have to spend historically, you would have had to spend billions of dollars hiring thousands of software engineers to, piece by piece build out all of the functionality at Salesforce. Of course, you could build vertical solutions and get some amount of traction, but in general, the idea was there was some effectively just an engineering moat, and that there was a lot of code that you'd have to write to effectively compete. So I talked about in the newsletter today.
Set the table first. What's going on in the market?
Yeah, so software has undergone the largest non-recessionary 12-month drawdown in over 30 years. It's minus 34%, wiping out $2 trillion of market cap from the peak. This is JP Morgan as of a couple days ago. AI threat sparks historic software stock crash. Goldman Sachs warns of newspaper-like decline.
I love the newspaper. What's wrong with newspapers?
Still got it. Still got it. And then as of yesterday, over the prior 8 trading sessions, more than 20% of the S&P 500 had a drawdown of 7% or more in a single session, according to the Compound.
That's a lot. Quickly, before we continue, let me tell you about the New York Stock Exchange. This Valentine's Day, I recommend flying to Manhattan, take her to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, IPO your company, and ring the opening bell together.
Great.
Your love just went public.
Good one, John.
Yeah.
Continuing. I wrote, everything was great when we were disrupting manual workflows, but as we enter the software singularity, we are having the uncomfortable experience of disrupting ourselves. Assume the marginal cost of software development goes to zero. If you are a software company where your moat was that a competitor would have to spend $1 billion to hire a bunch of software engineers to write millions of lines of code to create a product, and you have no other moats, it's going to be rough. Thankfully, there are moats that are unaffected by coding agents and effectively zero-cost software development. Peter Thiel, PT, outlined 4 key sources of monopoly power in 0 to 1 back in 2014. These are proprietary technology, network effects, economies of scale, and brand, or you can think of as trust. Most of these still hold, but proprietary technology by itself is no longer sufficient as a moat.
In some cases, if you have a patent to a GLP-1 drug, that is a proprietary technology that will give you pricing power probably for as long as the patent holds. And there are patents on certain pieces of technology that even if they can be cloned or re-derived from first principles with your million geniuses in the data center, the first person to patent it gets to reap that value. And that's just the way our—
And the issue with software, how many, a bunch of designer friends of mine have like a design patent on a specific kind of
Can they enforce it?
workflow.
Yeah.
And it's cool to say that you have a patent, but it's not.
Yeah,
hasn't been
proprietary technology
enforceable.
can just be, okay, we have a big software system, but oftentimes it's more like we have proprietary, like something that's regulated, something that's a cornered resource, something that's scarce and will remain scarce. But yes, if your proprietary technology is just you're the only person with this particular Python script, that's probably going away. But network effects aren't, and some of the economies of scale, some of the liquidity on these platforms is going to be durable. You can vibe code I was talking to Dario at Uber about this. You can vibe code a pickup app that looks like Uber, has a map, lets you click the button, accepts payment, but if there's no one on the other side of that network to actually come and pick you up, your Uber clone is dead in the water. Now,
or if if somebody does pick it up and the customer has a terrible experience, do you have the resources to actually make it right?
Yeah,
right?
But Uber works because they spend a bunch of money getting to scale, and cloning that scale is difficult. Now, the whole self-driving car thing is separate because you bring
unclankable.
We're working on that one. That'll happen. But there are a set of businesses that will have to contend with the clankerfication of the economy. But that's
so becoming unstoppable means 2 things. First, your business actually has to derive its economic power from a moat that is unstoppable. And second, you need to clearly communicate that to shareholders. Right now, if the market thinks you're just a bunch of lines of code, you're cooked. Tech companies we think of as unstoppable. You have hardware, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, Cisco, Broadcom, SK Hynix, Western Digital, data centers, so neoclouds, things like CoreWeave, Lambda, social networks, YouTube, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, even thinking Roblox, right? They can be not just, they have the network and they can be a beneficiary of AI because if it's easier to make games, a lot more people will make games. Maybe you'll get more usage. Marketplaces, Airbnb, Uber, DoorDash, IP holders, Disney, Netflix, Warner Brothers. I think if you have a lot of IP right now and the cost to produce great content drops dramatically, you're going to benefit from that. And then platforms, things like YouTube and Spotify as well. I said it's been an incredibly rough couple of weeks for public market CEOs. Really disheartening on the show. CEOs have been putting up some great quarters, and then they're trading down between 7 and 20%. There are 2 main questions everyone wants to know, even if they already sold your stock to buy Adams. One, do you have a durable moat in the software singularity? Two, are you a true beneficiary of AI? Many CEOs are still struggling to answer number one because it doesn't really matter what you say. Just having to answer the question equals a sell-off. And two, this one can really only be answered in the numbers. You aren't an immediate AI beneficiary if revenue is not accelerating. Also, separately, there are a bunch of crazy things happening in the broader economy right now. I think Besant went on CNBC at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
They brought out the big dog. I haven't been able to catch it yet.
It was 7 a.m. Eastern, right?
Yeah, 4 a.m. Pacific.
4 a.m.
So
Pacific.
very, very early for us.
Early.
It's possible to be unstoppable, but not an obvious beneficiary, but you'll still likely sell off as the market digests and interrogates the actual real-world impacts of coding agents. Some industries will be more resistant to change. Other industries will be revealed to have a secret source of market power that was underappreciated in the before times.
And what I was thinking was Nielsen, this company, it was, in one way, Nielsen ratings, Nielsen data, a lot of consumer packaged goods companies use this. I'm sure Matina is looking at how is this yerba mate selling in this store. And you go to Nielsen, you pay them, and they give you data. And it just feels like an interface to sales data, but they have this whole network, and you just have to pay for it. And it's not really something that you can just spin up. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, isn't that kind of like what Simile is doing? We had them on yesterday. They're like trying, maybe
Yeah.
you can kind of do like polls or something about how a market will.
That's
how a
more
product
for
will
That's
perform.
simulating
that's more
the
for
future.
prediction. The bigger one is like
Like I
you
would
want to
imagine
know.
Simile would actually want that data to
Yeah.
update their models.
Yeah, like you want to know, okay, what stores are actually turning my product? Which stores should I be doing promos in? Which stores should I be doubling down on running advertising in? Or what chains are working should I push more into? Or even just, hey, I need to go to one chain and say I'm working, like Target's working, so Walmart should carry me. They're not really going to accept just a simulation of that data. They're going to want to know that an independent rating agency sort of rated.
Gold Rock.
Oh, you did?
Just bought unstoppable.com.
Okay,
Great
quickly,
pickup.
before we move on, let me tell you about AppLovin. This Valentine's Day, use AppLovin's Axon.ai to serve her hyper-targeted ads for exactly the jewelry she wants. That way, she'll be extra excited when she unwraps presents on the big day.
Great call. Capping off the newsletter, I said a lot of the software market feels like the office equipment and imaging sector in the 90s. So companies like Sharp, Canon, Panasonic. Revenue was still up and to the right, but widespread adoption of the internet, emails, and PDFs was on the horizon. Even today, you'll still find a fax machine in every doctor's office, and many of the giants of that era are still around. But if you stayed in those names, you would have missed out on generational gains by simply being long PDF. Had to go long PDF. So yeah, if you look at these companies, Panasonic's still a massive company, and they've obviously adapted over time. But it's
a shift from growth stock to value stock. Investors are less willing to pay for earnings that might come 10 years out because they're worried about those, or 20 years out. Instead, they're asking, what will my return on invested capital be this year? What will the dividend be this year? How much cash will you give me back if I invest for a 1-year time horizon or shorter or longer? Let me tell you about Turbo Puffer. This holiday, Valentine's Day, here's an idea, Turbo Puffer. Store vector embeddings of every romantic moment you've shared in Turbo Puffer so you can do semantic search for that time in Paris and actually find it. Turbo Puffer is serverless vector and full text search. It's built from first principles and object storage. It's fast, 10x cheaper, and it's extremely scalable. So no matter how many memories you're cramming in Turbo Puffer, you're good to go. You're good to go this Valentine's Day. Just do it. Anyway, it will be interesting. I think that there will be a reckoning around who is able to reveal a true moat and help the market understand what their source of strength is, whether it's the liquidity on their platform, the network effect, the IP, if they have a real IP that's defensible. But just having a big bag of code right now is a little bit of a weight, since you're seeing so many companies that are saying, well, our software engineers aren't even writing the code anymore. Yes, we're advancing our products, but so many companies are going all in.
It's also it's Pretty wild how long it's taken for the public markets to react to this kind of one-shotting concept or this zero marginal cost code, coding concept, where we were having these same conversations in Q1 of last year, being like, what are the implications when you can just put in the prompt box, build me XYZ tool, right? And it took a while for the models to make progress, but even a year ago, it was pretty obvious that you would get to some point where you could one-shot a big platform. Of course, reliability is still a concern, right? Security is still a concern. There's a lot of businesses where the potential risks of using like a vibe-coded product like far outweigh the cost of just paying for the product and having something that's reliable, trustworthy, battle-tested. And
I mean, there's still a ton of questions about how quickly disruption happens, how quickly market structures change. Some things go from monopolies to oligopolies. Some oligopolies are going to go to perfectly competitive. It's certainly a bull market for YC companies who can vibe code something that's as good as a public company SaaS product and then go to those customers and say,
maybe not as good, but as feature complete.
As feature complete, or at least can compete a little bit faster and say, hey, I'll come in with an offer that's 10x cheaper and move you over, and that's just going to create some pricing pressure. The question is, what's the rate limiting factor? Is diffusion a real factor? Is adoption a real factor? Or do you need forward deployed engineers to go help companies transform with agentic coding, or will this happen inside companies and they'll be building their own platforms, or will they want just a cheaper product from a new third party that has a different business model that's maybe more consumption based, and something where if it goes down on a Saturday, they don't need to even fire off a prompt? How long until these vibe coded systems are like self-healing in the way an enterprise platform is and has like a proper SLA? What do you think, Tyler?
I just have a question. Like, I'm curious what you guys think about this. It's like, if the market is just catching up now to like coding models being very good and vibe coding all this stuff, and they're basically like a year late. In 1 year, what do you think like is going to be the thing that they're like, do you think they'll still be late? Is it going to be like, okay, actual like white collar work is, you actually can automate a lot of this stuff, and only in a year that they're actually going to like catch up to this?
Yeah, that's a good question. The next thing. I don't know.
Tyler, if I knew the answer, we'd be on Wall Street.
I think we'll be talking about it over the next couple of months. We'll need to see like glimmers of demos. I mean,
the one thing is like coding never felt. So here's the thing. So
I have an answer.
in coding has been a white collar job, but has always felt a lot less fake than most white collar jobs. Like there's a lot of jobs, like email jobs, laptop jobs, where there's like 6 people on a call for an hour, and like one person is really doing the work, and the rest of them are just saying like, nothing from my end, thanks, right? And that's like their entire day. Whereas coding, like the best engineers were actually just like grinding long, putting in the hours, and so I think what's interesting, like as some of these like more broad knowledge work tasks get more easy to automate, do those people just like they're still going to be doing meetings? Like at some point, these companies, I mean, to date, the AI job loss has just been primarily from companies, I would say, still processing the Twitter acquisition and saying, hey, we need 50% fewer people here.
Yeah, this sell-off is much more related to business model competition, pricing pressure than automation and job loss, in my opinion. It's much more that there will just be more competition in enterprise software markets, and so you assume that margins will fall. That's my read on this. I do have another example, but I will tell you about Gusto first. The unified platform for payroll, benefits, and HR, built to evolve with modern small and medium-sized businesses. So my answer is the unclankerable companies. So right now there are industries. Think about mining. Like I have a piece of land. There is gold in the dirt. There's another company that comes, and their specialization is finding where the gold deposits are on my land. There's a third company that shows up with tractors and people that dig the gold out. Then there's a fourth company that takes the raw ore and refines it into gold. There's a fifth company that is a platform for selling that gold onto the market, right? So you have like 5 different layers of the supply chain to get the gold into the market from the ground. Let's just use that. It could be oil, it could be any mineral. Does robotic labor, too cheap to meter, change the value of the land? Probably not. But if you have a robotic digging machine that can show up and dig the ore out of the ground, dig the gold out of the ground at a lower cost, well, the company that's been set up where their moat was they employed all of the best miners, and they had systems to know who's good, train them, make sure that they're doing it safely, train them on the tools, make sure that they have the right equipment to dig the ore reliably, work in shifts. All of that becomes attackable. If you're like, well, all I have to do to start a company that competes in the gold mining business is place an order with a bunch of humanoid robots and go to the guy who has the land and say, I want to dig the land, and I will give you a little bit more than what the other team that's using a bunch of human labor and a bunch of unautomated systems. So I would say that that's probably the next thing that the market would be processing, and the ride-hailing platforms dealing with the advent of the self-driving car is probably one of these like clankerification narratives, but that will come to a whole host of industries. The question is just on a 5-year timeline, on a 10-year timeline, when will it be real? And then when will the market price it accordingly? Because a lot of the pressure that you're seeing in the market is not showing up in the financials. Like the companies are still growing, they're still producing cash. The business hasn't changed, but the perception of the future of the business has changed, and the perception of the future of the market structure has changed. And so that might be the next thing, if we're just to play out AI broadly. Anyway, Phantom Cash. Fund your wallet without exchanges or middlemen and spend with the Phantom card. Let's also pull up the Linear lineup and take you through who's coming on the show today. Linear is the system for modern software development. 70% of enterprise workspaces on Linear are using agents. It's Friday. We have a lighter show, but we got some great guests. We got Martin Shkreli coming on to take a little victory lap about the quantum computing thing. Connor Hayes, the head of Threads. We hung out with him at MetaConnect. We're very excited to talk to him about the progress
Brother
on
Hayes.
that platform. Then Alex is coming on from DDN, and Brett Adcock from Figures coming on to talk about humanoid robots. They launched a new one today. So
Finally
very excited for that.
on the show. This will be an
Yes.
interesting one. Clavicular has also been in
The news? Oh yes, what happened?
Let's see here. Streamer Braden Peters to host boxing match billed as test of physical dominance. The Valentine's Day live stream pits 2 figures from the male self-improvement internet against each other. Braden Peters, the live streamer known as Clavicular, announced Thursday that he will host a boxing match on his Kick.com channel this Saturday evening, February 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern, directly opposite Valentine's Day festivities nationwide. The bout will feature 2 personalities from the online male aesthetics community, a figure known as ASU frat leader, an Arizona State University fraternity member who gained attention for his broad-shouldered build, and a creator who goes by Androgenic, a fitness influencer focused on hormone optimization and physical appearance. Promotional materials bill the event as a championship of skeletal frame superiority, essentially a contest to determine which man is more physically imposing. The announcement, posted to X by the Kick-affiliated account KickChamp, has drawn thousands of engagements and spawned a wave of commentary from users who noted the scheduling choice with amusement, characterizing the event as a deliberate alternative to the holiday. The matchup represents the latest example of niche internet subcultures, in this case, communities organized around male physical self-improvement and body image optimization, crossing over into live entertainment. Mr. Peters, who has built his following around content related to physique and social dynamics, appears to be positioning himself as a promoter within the space. No official venue has been announced. The event is expected to stream exclusively on Kick.com. So we'll be interested to see how the news kind of reacts to the event over the weekend. Certainly, this story has gone mainstream.
You know, it's funny that so if you haven't been following these. We've been taking these like viral clip posts and turning them into professionally written articles, just as a joke. But Clavicular actually has a profile in the New York Times, and it's written like that. And so I think our joke is like over because it's hit the mainstream. Joe Bernstein wrote something that sounds exactly like something that we were joking about. Braden Peters, known as Clavicular, has emerged as a beacon for a group of narcissistic, status-obsessed men. He wants to take his fixation with looks maxing mainstream. It's a wild piece. Clavicular is a 6'2". He weighs 180 pounds and has a 31-inch waist. His biacromial width, basically the span of the clavicle, from which the 20-year-old streamer gets his name, is 19.5 inches. He has a mid-face ratio, which is derived by dividing the distance from pupil to the mouth by the distance between the pupils of 1.07. His chin to philtrum ratio is 2.6. According to Clavicular, these calculations make him handsome. Just not as handsome as actor Matt Bomer. And then it goes on to explain the whole looks maxing phenomenon. And it was very funny watching this happen because Clavicular streams so much that he live streamed the interview with Joe Bernstein. But of course, normally when you do an interview with a mainstream media journalist who's writing a profile, it's like under embargo and you don't know it's coming until it drops. And like, you don't even really talk about it. And the chat is confused. This is a very popular trend on social media these days, and the New York Times is breaking it down. But anyway, there's plenty more there. Let me tell you about public.com, investing for those that take it seriously. Stocks, options, bonds, crypto, treasuries, and more with great customer service.
Really, really wild time on the internet.
Anyway, let's go back to the Anthropic round. Matt Slotnick says, LOL at the jockeying behind the scenes to land on this wording. Quote, we have raised $30 billion in Series G funding led by GIC and Co2, valuing Anthropic at $380 billion post-money. The round was co-led by D.E. Shaw Ventures, Dragoneer, Founders Fund, Iconic, and MGX. Lots of folks getting in. A huge part of this raise is Claude Code, says Boris Cherny, who is the creator of Claude Code over at Anthropic. Weekly active users doubled since January. People who've never written a line of code are building with it, humbled to work on this every day with our team. That is remarkable growth at this scale, doubling.
Kenneth having some humble pie. Or maybe showing just how early it is. He says still less annual revenue than AirPods. AirPods, last I checked, were a $20 billion revenue business.
$22 billion in 2024. That's a massive business. But Anthropic will be there in, a week or two? They just broke top 20 in the App Store, and now they're in the top 10. They're number 7. The consumer app, Claude by Anthropic, is climbing in the charts. ChatGPT is number 1 for free apps. Google Gemini is number 2. And Free Cash is number 3. Threads is number 4. And I wonder how much this is driven by momentum still, but
definitely driven by momentum,
because
right?
It's download. So like it does. So
there's
Facebook
so many
just
people
can't
that
be
have
there.
never. There's so many people that have never tried Claude and hadn't heard of it until recently. And again, we know they're putting a lot of paid spend behind the anti-ads campaign.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a factor. Metacritic Capital was pretty funny. Back in March of 2024, he said, I continue to be puzzled by Anthropic's $18 billion valuation, and then followed up and said, market is so stupid sometimes. I have no words. But of course, the market was right on this one so far.
This is
you can just see they were.
Well, are we sure that he was saying it was overvalued? He could have been saying it's undervalued.
No, I think he was saying it undervalued.
Okay,
Yeah. I think that's why he's taking the victory lap, is because he was at the time a year ago. He was like, "Why is Anthropic has such a low valuation based on the market?"
It was almost 2 years ago.
Oh, this is almost 2 years ago.
So, I don't actually know.
I don't know which way Metacritic was going. Cell phone, ask Martin Shkreli, who's coming on the show. And
Oh, he responded. He said the puzzle meant I didn't understand why it was worth only 18 billion. So
always vague posts so that you can take either direction. You never paint
Crystal
yourself
ball.
into a corner. Let me tell you about Gemini 3 Pro, Google's most intelligent model yet. State-of-the-art reasoning, next level vibe coding, and deep multimodal understanding. I'm glad this chart is now public because it is bananas. It is ridiculous. It should not exist, says Bruno F., the founder of Magna Digital. $5 billion in tokens managed. Interesting. Yeah, what a crazy.
just another pod guy says Salesforce invests in Anthropic colorized. I think when Mark was on, he said they have about a point of Anthropic going into this round, if I remember correctly.
Again.
What is this?
It's a horse giving money to a car. The car goes and buys a rocket launcher. The car blows up the barn, and the horse is sad. And that
Brutal.
does feel like an apt analogy. It's very funny.
And Anthropic has been all over legacy media.
Yeah. First, let me tell you about CrowdStrike. Your business is AI. Their business is securing it. CrowdStrike secures AI and stops breaches. Also, fantastic Valentine's Day gift. From this extraordinary piece in The New Yorker last summer, while Mark Zuckerberg was conducting hiring raids on other labs, Sholto Douglas, the Anthropic engineer and TBPN guest, told me, this journalist, Gideon Lewis Krause, that a number of his colleagues, quote, could have taken a $50 million paycheck, but the vast majority of them hadn't even bothered to respond. Well,
Conviction.
they are early at a $350 billion company and are clearly very optimistic, but it is funny to just
Daniel
money mogged.
Daniel says, so wait, Claude has seat-based pricing. Does this mean they're disrupting themselves too? Of course, a lot of the concern has been around the seat-based model. But it even feels like that is less of a factor than just the overall threat of zero marginal cost software.
Yeah, why does Claude have seat-based pricing? It's essentially a consumption-based product, but psychologically, if I'm rolling out Claude to a company and I set up seats for a team, I know that there's individual rate limits, so no one individual is going to like blow me up. Basically, that's the idea. But this goes into like some people are posting like if you're getting a job, you should ask what your token
But in this case,
budget
it's
is.
not. This is Claude. This is not the API. This is not Claude.
But you know, when you fire up Claude Code, like you can integrate your Claude account, and so like this essentially gives you credits to write code as well. And so there's this new meme of like if you're going into a tech company, like ask what your token budget will be, like what's your inference budget, and so. I mean, these can clearly skyrocket pretty quickly. There's debates over, you know, oh, should I let my employees use like the fast mode or the regular mode or pro? Like, is the work that they're doing really that valuable? If they're spending thousands a month, if they're spending tens of thousands a month, like at a certain point, I need to make sure that they're not being wasteful. And so I think the seat-based plan still achieves a little bit of that psychological security for managers. And then there's also an interesting there's probably a pretty bimodal distribution in the value that, or the actual cost associated with these plans. I would imagine that there's a portion of pro users that use 100% of their inference budget every month, and they cap out and they're frustrated and they might have a second plan or they might go down to a free plan or limit their usage. And then there's a whole bunch of folks who just have a seat and never use it, or they use basically like very little inference, or they're just asking things that can be answered by a free tier, essentially, but they just like let it ride.
Zach in the chat says we have 150 corporate Claude users purchased by seat, 50% max out in week one because of Excel token use.
Yeah, there you go.
Good data point.
Let me tell you about Restream. One live stream, 30 plus destinations. If you want a multi-stream, go to restream.com.
Dan Primack says, working on newsletter, it may be shorter to list the VC firms not in the new Anthropic round.
It's a party round.
Josh says, got
grab at least one of the big labs logo. Many of the firms have sniped all three at this point. Sequoia, Founders Fund, Coatue in a bunch, Andreessen's in multiple, I think. There's a variety of funds that have built stakes of various sizes in all the different labs. And
it seems like Josh Kushner is one of the few that has remained deeply loyal.
Yeah. There's
and we do recognize we just had some technical difficulties, but it seems like we're back on. We are so back.
Let me tell you about Console. Console builds AI agents that automate 70% of IT, HR, and finance support, giving employees instant resolution for access requests and password resets. Slow Ventures is taking the other side of the all-in on AI bet. They said, congrats to everyone who figured out that foundation models are infrastructure plays, not startups. Now let's talk about what happens when the picks and shovels phase ends and we're back to building actual products. And Will Monitis says, nightmarish degrees of cope.
Yeah, Sam was always super bearish on the labs.
He thought that they would
commoditize?
Standpoint. Was that what it was? So they wouldn't have pricing power?
Effectively, okay. He said, open source models are going to get really good.
Yeah.
He was right. They have gotten really good.
Yeah.
But I think maybe missed that the labs would turn into product companies and stop just being,
It is
guys.
It is sort of interesting. Like if you wound back the clock and you were like, my job is just to invest well in tech startup booms from 2005 to 2025. There's one world where you're like, okay, I'm going to go hunt for the Airbnb, the Stripe, the YC companies, the Coinbases, all the like application layer companies, the Instagrams, the Twitters, all of these different companies. But there's a different side where you're like, I'm going to buy like Broadcom, Cisco, NVIDIA, AMD, and still do really well and maybe even better depending on when you got in, when you got out. But it's a very, like, just because it's an infrastructure play, even if that's true, that doesn't mean that it's not a good investment for an investor. There is a little bit of like purist vibes from like a venture capitalist should, or certain funds have strategies. And so they say, I'm going to sit out.
Slow as a seed, Series A, but leans
Focused.
more early.
Yep.
And so by the time you're looking at some of these deals, investing at, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 billion.
Yeah.
And there's start to be rough.
Yeah. And there's a lot of funds who have expanded and will invest in anything. Like you're a mining company, great, let's do it. You're buying Bitcoin on the balance sheet. It's like, okay, let's do it. There were a lot of funds that expanded what it meant to just be an asset manager, and there were some funds that stayed very focused. And we'll see, but interesting. Highlights from the Dario Amade interview on Dwarkesh Patel. Jacob Rintamaki, friend of the show, has a quote here. All my lawyers never want me to say the word monopoly. Dario says, I don't think that's true. I mean, I feel like we're in an economics class. Dwarkesh says, do you know the Tyler Cowen quote? We never stop talking about economics. And Dario says, we never stop talking about economics, so no, I don't think this field's going to be a monopoly. All my lawyers never want me to say the word monopoly, but I don't think this field's going to be a monopoly. You do get industries in which there are a small number of players, not one, but a small number of players. And so that feels like where things are going with both the expressed viewpoints of the VC firms investing in multiple labs, that there's a variety of strategies to deploy intelligence, whether it's the best model and get deployment and traction, whether it's on the infrastructure side. I do wonder how many more changes there will be in the horse race. It feels like there's a new hot model every couple weeks, and then someone fires back, and then they go back and forth and back and forth. And with all the flow improvements do not seem to be. They seem much more like economies of scale and process power of being able to train at ever larger scales, marshal ever larger chunks of capital, and do whatever it takes to get to the frontier and stay there. Let me tell you about Vanta. Automate compliance and security. Vanta is the leading AI trust management platform. Why do we play this?
Because the stream, we're having issues again.
Oh, no.
We're working to get it back up. If you can hear us, markets now see a 30% probability of a Fed rate cut by April, more than 80% of easing by June. Over on Kalshi, we're still seeing the Fed decision in March, 93%.
Say maintains rate, no cut. So a cut would be a wild card at 7%, 9% for any sort of cut. So strong GDP growth, strong job numbers, stay the course would be the logical thing. But we will continue to follow it. Let me tell you about Railway. Railway is the all-in-one intelligent cloud provider. Use your favorite agent to deploy web apps, servers, databases, and more. Well, Railway automatically takes care of scaling, monitoring, and security. Let's play this timeless clip of George Hotz and.
We don't believe in stealth. I'm a really open guy.
You are pretty open.
I tell you everything I'm doing. Come on. Here's what I say. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, and you can try to compete, but I'll still crush you. We don't believe in stealth. I'm a really
It's so funny. Also, I don't know why that person cut that to be so widescreen. It looks very cinematic, but I like the quote here. You think the eggs I lay are valuable? I am the golden goose.
Meanwhile,
thinking people will steal your ideas if you share them is a sign of low IQ. And I agree, we are in the era of agency, and actually going and executing on the idea is the difficult thing. You need to be charisma maxing.
and there's still a lot of secrets to every business.
Yes,
and
there
CEOs
are.
CEOs can do 100 hours of podcasts and tell you a lot about what they're doing without telling you the one or two things that are actually important. And it's very easy for somebody to come in and try to fast follow and ultimately just like kind of get it entirely wrong, even though it looks like the right.
And I think there was a huge incentive. I mean, going back to the SaaS apocalypse, there was an incentive for a long time for companies that where their moat was not software to say, we're a software company, we need to hire the best software engineers, look at our open source projects, focus on all the cool tech that we're building, when really it was a marketplace, or really it was a liquidity provider, or really it was a network effect. And if you're a network effects business, it can be sort of boring and honestly anti-competitive to just be like, look, we can do nothing and win. No one wants to hear a CEO say that, but we're going to find out who can do nothing and win because we'll see it show up in the margins over the next couple financial years.
Meanwhile, over on LinkedIn, George Hotz is posting. Amrit says, George Hotz is the only thing keeping my LinkedIn feed good. He says, hello, corporate participant. You are building the machine that will eat you. You think your fake money will keep you safe. It won't. You think your social climbing friendships will keep you safe. They won't. The only choice is to stop. Tell your friends. Tell your neighbors. If you keep feeding this machine, it will eat you. The proposed revolutions will not be enough. A global scale nuclear conflict might, but even then, I'm not sure. The problem was never AI itself. It's the collapse of trust in society. Apps and phones have snuck between every crevice of people, and they are run by psychopaths. The AI will be a further wedge, just another lever to manipulate you. You will not be able to stand up to it, and you will be discarded the second you don't serve it. Like layoffs, you will die atomized and alone, and you won't understand that you did this to yourself. Brutal.
Nice little white pill.
Nice little Friday white pill.
He's such a white pillar. Well, here's a white pill. First, Figma. Figma Make isn't your average vibe coding tool. It lives in Figma, so outputs look good, feel real, and stay connected to how teams build, create code-backed prototypes and apps fast. Okay, but here is the real white pill. For just $33 million, you can have a private home on a remote resort in Utah. Can you guess where it is?
Park City?
Nope. It's at the Amman Luxury Resort. It's in the Wall Street Journal. The residence is the first to hit the market at Amman. In remote southern Utah, Amangiri Resort, a crown jewel in the Aman Hospitality Company's portfolio.
Wait, they're doing residences?
They're doing residences. They have a portfolio of global hotels and residences. They're listing the first private home for $33 million. Located just over the Utah border from the small town of Page, Arizona, the hotel currently features 34 guest suites starting at $5,000 per night and 10 tented pavilions at its Camp Sarika, providing a temporary escape for travelers. But the newly built house on 9 acres can be purchased outright. Designed by Los Angeles-based firm Masa Studio, the roughly 12,000 square foot residence has 6 bedrooms and comes fully furnished. It's the first of 12 planned private homes, which will be about half a mile from the resort.
OTP says, but does it have a bunkie?
Does it have a bunkie, a bunk bed?
A
bunker.
Bunker.
Oh, we're going to get into bunkers. There's a whole piece in the journal about how to secure a mega mansion. I know you've been asking. We have the answers. Until it's sold, the home is available to rent for $45,000 per night. Before we continue, let me tell you about Sentry. Sentry shows developers what's broken and helps them fix it fast. That's why 150,000 organizations use it to keep their apps working. So, residences have been part of the Amangiri vision since the resort opened in 2009. The decision to offer private residences now was spurred by the success of the 2020 tented camp launch, rising demand globally for hotel-branded residences, and a sense that the property was ready to take that step. While future residences will share a cohesive aesthetic, each will be designed to respond to the unique contours of the specific site. In Page, the median sale price was $610,000 in August. There are currently around a half a dozen listings above $33 million, though, all clustered further north near ski resorts. Amangiri buyer interest has been strong, he said, particularly among Aman loyalists and North American clients. Additional residential plots priced between $5 million and $12.5 million are under contract. And so let's get into Lambda. Lambda is the super intelligence cloud building AI supercomputers for training and inference that scale from 1 GPU to hundreds of thousands. The mega rich are turning their mansions into impenetrable fortresses, and we're going to tell you how to do it for yourself. Anxiety over high-profile violence has the wealthy spending big on armed security, bunkers, a bunkie, and even moats. They're building moats. I haven't heard of an alligator in the moat or a shark in the moat, but people are, in fact, building moats.
Being an alligator salesman, I feel like, is unstoppable. I
Bullish.
think it could be clankable.
Yes,
but
maybe.
Still, at the moment, unstoppable.
But you got to build the humanoid robot that can go in the water to wrestle the alligator, and that might be. We'll ask Brett Adcock: Is it waterproof? Is it waterproof? Can it go wrestle an alligator or not? Because I don't want it just to do my dishes and do the laundry. I want it wrestling alligators in my moat. So, British music producer Alex Grant was living in an under-construction mega mansion in Los Angeles. One morning, shortly after 9 a.m., an intruder, armed, burst into the home. He said, Grant said, he came in and we had a tussle. He was formerly known as Alex the Kid. Grant managed to call his manager, who phoned the police. Soon, officers and helicopters were on the scene. He briefly considered abandoning the project after the 2017 break-in, but ultimately finished the 24,000 square foot home, which has 8 pools, a car elevator, and a nightclub. Wow. But he doubled down on security features, installing a guardhouse, tall gates, and a security system with retina scanners that alert the homeowner to movement in the home. Later, I found out he had these knives on him, Grant said, who recently listed the mansion and a neighboring house for $85 million after moving to New York. In an era of high-profile violence, including the suspected abduction of Savannah Guthrie's mother from her Arizona home just over a week ago, the wealthy are investing heavily in their personal security, particularly when it comes to their homes. Security measures once reserved for presidents and royalty, safe rooms, biometric access controls, laser-powered perimeter defenses, these are now mainstream items in luxury homes. Executive protection teams and armed guards patrol gated enclaves and suburban estates, while tech startups are rolling out predictive threat detection systems built for the ultra-wealthy. The shift reflects a hardening view among the affluent. Traditional policing and communal safety are no longer enough, no security. So security is being privatized and customized. The new emphasis is reflected in sales data. Roughly 45% of luxury homes in 2025 included a reference to privacy or security, up from 38% the year earlier. So break-ins at the homes of celebrities and professional athletes have been putting the wealthy on edge. A group of Chilean nationals was indicted last year for stealing items worth more than $2 million from sports stars, including Kansas City Chief players Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce.
This had something to do with the visa process with Chile, where you could very easily get a tourist visa. So there was these allegedly there were teams that would be permanently based in the U.S. And then they would be running kind of the operations. They'd be in the kind of war room, and then basically tourists would come for 2 weeks, hit a bunch of houses, and then bounce.
Wow.
And those were the only people that were actually exposed to. Or exposed, meaning they were like carrying out the different ops.
Well, the Miami Dolphins player, Tua Tagovailoa, I might be mispronouncing that, said he hired personal security to monitor his house while he's on the road. He says, let that be known, they're armed. So if you try to go inside my house, think twice. The homes of celebrities like Brad Pitt and Nicole Kidman have also been broken into. Miami real estate agent Danny Hertzberg of Coldwell Banker said he began noticing an increase in emphasis on security in 2020 when high-profile executives were migrating from New York to Miami during the early days of the COVID pandemic. Private jet tracking websites have also been an issue. They sent chills through the high net worth community. Corporations are taking note. Companies offering personal security benefits for CEOs increased by 10%, according to Goldman Sachs. One entrepreneur capitalizing on this growth is David Widerhorn, who got into real estate after selling a tech company in 2017. I wonder what he sold. He recently built a heavily secured home in Scottsdale, Arizona, and he, in early December, Widerhorn walked through the 8,600 square foot property, pointing out 32 casino-grade AI-powered facial and vehicle recognition cameras. There's also a laser intrusion detection system around the perimeter. Pausing at a steel double gate in front of the house, he warned that the security system kicks in even before visitors reach the front door, which is fashioned out of 3-inch thick solid steel and has 13 deadbolts. He said even 13. The landscape was designed as a deterrent.
Cacti?
Sour orange trees. There are sour orange trees with 4-inch spikes in concrete planters on the edge of the property. And just beyond those trees, separating the house and the street, a moat.
Gators.
A moat.
Gators.
If you try and run through that bush, it will be a bad day for you, he said. Should anyone get past the trees, lasers will detect motion and the system will call the police. Inside the house, 3 ear-piercing alarms will go off. And this is an interesting thing. The fireplace around the fireplace in the great room, it will change colors. It's made out of crystallo quartzite, and it can change colors, so it'll turn red. So you're sitting there, and if there's anything detected on the property, your fireplace turns red above the TV to show you that something's going on. Very interesting that's a visual cue. The home's most fortified feature lies behind a wood-paneled wall, a reinforced concrete safe room with a 2,000-pound door and an air filtration system built to U.S. Army Corps of Engineers standards. Widerhorn declined to share specifics, but said it cost more than $10 million to build the house. About $1 million was spent on bullet-resistant smart glass, and the front entry security features cost more than $1 million. In Las Vegas, clients of luxury design firm Blue Herons are spending between $100,000 and $1.5 million on security features, including safe rooms and bunkers. Blue Heron is now working on new ways to incorporate architecture with security, such as exterior window shades that could be closed with the touch of a button to protect the home's occupants. In Surfside, Florida, the developer of the Delmore, a planned 37-unit ultra high-end condominium project designed by Zaha Hadid Architects, and with units priced at up to $200 million, has tapped a Washington, D.C. based security firm to design the building's security.
The $200 million condo.
Yeah, that is crazy. But I mean, I guess from a security perspective, if you're in some massive building, you're sort of like diffusing the cost. There's more people that might notice something. There's more security guards. It's almost like a gated community in one building.
Probably
layers of access.
I'm just purely thinking you're effectively looking at $100 million a floor, right?
That's crazy.
A couple floors, maybe a few.
Yeah.
It's up there for a condo.
That is huge. The firm is working to integrate technology like biometric access, facial recognition, and iris scanning into the design of the project. For instance, when a resident or visitor pulls into the building's parking garage, their car will be scanned for license plate recognition, but facial recognition may also identify the car's occupants and their level of approval to access the building. That in turn triggers the security system to allow the person to unlock only the doors and elevators that they are permitted to pass through. Meanwhile, an AI-powered security system will track movements captured on camera throughout the building, looking for anomalies. Hertzberg said he recently had a client fly in a security consultant to evaluate a roughly $50 million house he had put on under contract. The consultant looked into the viability of installing a complex camera and laser system that could sense any movement on the perimeter of the property, including the water. So, lots of interesting stuff. Let me tell you about Cognition. They're the makers of Devon, the AI software engineer. Crush your backlog with your personal AI engineering team.
If you go further down, they talk about San Francisco tech entrepreneur Kevin Hart said he and his high net worth peers in California are increasingly focused on security. Kevin, of course, has a home security startup.
Yes.
Hart
Sauron.
said he co-founded his own security company, Sauron, in 2024 after being spooked by an attempted break-in at his home in San Francisco. The person first rang the doorbell before making his way around the house, trying some of the doors and windows. When he couldn't gain access, he went to Hurt's next-door neighbor's home, where he tried to push through the front door. He was arrested by police. That could have been us, Hurt said. The Sauron system, which has only been launched in beta across a few homes in the Bay Area, will differ from other security systems in that it includes deterrent strategies, not only response. For instance, if it senses an intruder, it could include a feature that automatically triggers sounds, such as dogs barking or police sirens coming closer. Just the sound of dogs barking feels like a great feature. Just OTP in the chat was saying, do none of these people have German Shepherds?
Yeah, German Shepherds. Fun fact about German Shepherds, you can, like a purebred dog might be like single-digit thousands, but there are companies out there that will train a German Shepherd for like the military basically, and then also train them to be pets. So they have that level of training, and then you can get up in like the $40,000-$50,000 range for dog, which is hilarious. Dog as much as a car, but dogs are typically
it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of dogs.
It's a lot of dog. It's the GT3 RS of dogs, truthfully. But whenever you look at the list of like what's the most likely thing to eliminate home intrusion risk, like dogs are always at the top. Quickly, let me tell you about another great Valentine's Day gift, MongoDB. Choose a database built for flexibility and scale with best-in-class embedding models and re-rankers. MongoDB has what you need to build what's next. And without further ado, we have Martin Shkreli in the Restream waiting room. Let's bring in Martin to the TBPN Ultra Room. Martin, good to see you again. How are you doing?
Technology Brothers, how are you?
We're fantastic. How are you?
It's great to see you.
Excellent.
Are you gearing up for the weekend? Are you excited?
Caffeinated, ready to do more work.
Fantastic. Locked in. The great lock-in.
What's your daily caffeine stack?
Yeah.
We talked with Huberman about this. You're the natural.
Are you a microdoser, or do you do 400 milligrams and then coast?
I do coffee, several coffees, and then just like keep drinking this all day long. And it's
is that like a 4 hour
it's
energy?
a lot of fun. Yeah.
Something like that?
Five.
Okay. 5 hour energy. Oh wait, how many hours are they? How many hours are they doing these days? 4 or 5? It's a lot of energy.
5.
Anyway, what are you seeing in the market? Give us the update on just how you're processing the last week of chaos, whether you want to talk about software, quantum computing, what's going on? What's worth following?
Yeah, so I have this new potential product. Might productize this. I've been tweeting it for now for free. But it's basically something nobody's ever done before with VC investors, which is I'm using my network and some heuristics, maybe even some AI, to guess kind of what positions people took in rounds. Obviously, for some cases, I know exactly what the cap table is, but in other cases, I don't. So I have this like list of gains or investors, and it's very interesting. So, I started with like obviously the joke one, which is FTX would be up 36 billion today.
Sure.
Putting in what I guess was $300,000 in AnySphere, which of course is Cursor, at a 4.4 million dollar pre-money.
Wait, is that really the pre-money?
That's still insane because in that era,
10
getting getting into a great company at 4. Like if somebody was pitching you a company
rare.
at 4, it was almost bearish.
Like,
just
they're
because
complete
it was like,
outsiders.
yeah, they didn't have the comp. They didn't talk to anyone smart. That was like, hey, you guys are really smart. You can
Now again,
I would
like
price it at 10.
I'm guessing and have like various heuristics, and obviously like I'd call somebody like you guys and say, actually, I think you want to talk to this guy, or that number might have to go up a little bit, et cetera. But that's better than nothing. And right now at Crunchbase and PitchBook and stuff, there's nothing. And so it's a lot of fun. And so that $300,000 investment, they raised 400,000. So my guess was allocated to 300. I think I can look. It's actually in the bankruptcy document. So eventually we'll get the exact number. But that's a $1.2 billion position in today's money. Obviously, the bankruptcy estate lawyer is just like, oh, what the fuck is this? Anysphere. It sounds like zero.
Yeah, it does. It does. When you say Anysphere in the context of FTX, it sounds like we're a blockchain company looking to build a live multiplayer game. And your eyes start to glaze over a little bit.
Like, how many NFTs did Anysphere drop? Like, not
Right.
quite.
Anthropic, they'd be up 32 billion now. I'm sure you saw SBF had he posted a little thing about that. Thrive is the big mystery player because nobody really sure how much money they sunk into OpenAI, but they also did Anysphere.
Yes.
So huge gains from Thrive. They were in a couple later rounds of Scale and some other companies. So big numbers there. Probably one of the more interesting ones is Reid Hoffman. $50 million first check in OpenAI with Kozla, maybe 25.
Okay.
25 or 50, and that, worth many billions. And then Jan Tallinn, the EA CEO of
co-founder of
Effective
Skype.
Altruism. Yeah, Skype guy. 100 million turns to 11 billion in Anthropic first check with Reid Hoffman. So 11 bill. So a lot of fun to look through these and see, like, you can sort of calculate the returns. And of course, VC fund returns eventually they either go public or you can find them somewhere, or like oftentimes state pension funds and stuff do that. So Anthropic, obviously the big news.
It is when, as you break this down, it's so funny that Crunchbase never like tried to roll out even something that was like generally accurate. Like it is like very fascinating information, and especially now where Dan Primack was joking, like it's easier to list like who's not in Anthropic at this point from kind of the big name funds, and so that just makes this kind of information like more interesting because it's cool that you're in a company, and almost anybody, if they work hard enough, can get some exposure to these names. Maybe it's like via an SPV or an SPV and an SPV, but still, this is the information that like is actually like super fascinating.
The other interesting one is Dustin Moskovitz, who's 25 million in Anthropic as part of the Effective Altruism Mafia, was able to make $4 billion, which I think offsets his losses from starting Asana, but I'm not sure.
He didn't.
Not
Ridiculous.
Quite.
There's no losses from founding a company. Come on.
The Anthropic position would be worth 2x what Asana is.
Yes. Which is crazy. But he's not sitting on losses. Oh, you think he bought it at the top?
We know he bought huge amounts of Asana with cash. So
okay. So maybe
keep that in mind.
Losses. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
I doubt it, but
to
your point,
he's doing well. So the lesson for folks is just get a small check in the next Anthropic.
Try to network on ineffective altruism. I think that seems to be the.
Yeah. What was the alpha from EA? Like why? Yeah, do you have a post?
There's a lot of smart people that have no other things to do, so their social setting is like replaced by this sort of like religion or anything like that, and this cult. And if you're in a cult of really smart people, it's probably something good will come of it.
Do you think it's still a cult, or do you think it's like B2B SaaS now?
I think it's changed a lot. It's like B2B SaaS, and I think like the new cult is.
Cult of B2B SaaS, you're welcome. The water's warm. Come in. It's amazing. We're automating workflows. We're delivering enterprise value.
We're hiring consultants.
We will forget about all the earlier stuff. We will welcome you into improving the economy, raising GDP. This is what we stand for in this cult.
Maybe the new cult is the AI agent, website or whatever or whatever's next in that world where the AI.
What's your personal so I wrote in the newsletter today, like somewhat of a joke, but a more serious topic: become unsloppable. The idea of there are still real moats that exist, and the historical moat of just we had a bunch of smart people working on building this software for a long time. So if you want to compete with us, you have to also spend a lot of money and a lot of time hiring a bunch of software engineers. That's going away. Yet you're building what is a seat-based pricing tool, and I expect you to do very well with it, just because I think in the future individuals will want great access to data to make different decisions, and maybe they're working with agents as well. So like I can see that
the agents need the data.
but like what's your personal philosophy? Because you're clearly not, if you were just caught up in the kind of like fear-based marketing of the labs, you might not be building, seat-based SaaS tool.
Yeah. I mean, data's often firewalled. We have a guy that just talks to every exchange in the world. And, the amount of times he has to pull his hair out because, some exchange in Asia wants to meet yet again, before signing the deal. and there's no self-checkout, there's no agent, you have to, the protocol is sit-down meeting. And every time you go to an enterprise SaaS company and it says talk to sales, it's sort of like, what does AI do at that point? So I feel like, there's, you also have this trend where, why would you put huge amounts of data into the model? The model should call out, and compressing the world's information into some parameters and weights, it's just not a wise use of parameter space. And I think everybody's been saying this in AI, and so the problem is, okay, shrink the whole internet, but what happens when stuff leaves the internet? There's a stock that Bloomberg doesn't have in its portfolio. You guys weren't born yet, I think, but it was called a Webvan.
Oh yeah.
We know about Webvan. OG
my family used Home Grocer, which got acquired by Webvan, and I think the Home Grocer founders probably got liquidity before Webvan crashed, so I think they wound up doing very well.
They killed it.
You need to check in with them, but yeah.
Yeah, so Webvan is not on Bloomberg, for example.
Yeah.
Even though it's supposed to be this great tool, and it's certainly not on the web. Lots of data gets like deleted from Google, and there just isn't this like rich tabular data available. So tabular data, I think, is going to actually thrive in the AI world because it's just not going to be in the models, or if it is, the models get tired after a while. It's not going to give you 3,649 SaaS companies with this market cap. It's going to say, here's the top 200, and don't ask me about the next 3,200, because that's just not what LLMs are really good at. But the frontier technology is sold off very, very hard in the last month or two. And there's a lot of speculation in the quant community as to what's happening. So there's some funds that ran really well with this frontier tech. So I think that includes quantum computing, but also includes nuclear, drones, space, all the stuff that's sort of, next generation things that aren't here yet. And this was like the hottest sector last year, and anybody who didn't have exposure to this underperformed. And there are some quant firms, I think, that were very, very, very overexposed to this. And then New Year started in the hedge fund and quant world. January 1st is like a brand new page. Like nothing matters from last year. You forget everything. And so this factor just flips in reverse. And part of the reason was the calendar, I think. And now the quantum stocks look like dog poo-poo, and they've gone down a lot, and nobody knows what to make of anything. But in the private world, numbers are still, there's still big valuations, still lots of big up rounds so far. So that disconnect will be really interesting as time goes on. There was, last time I talked about photonic computing, there's a new company, Teal Fellow, young guy. I'm telling you right now, these young guys think that I'm this old dog that can't learn new tricks. I'm going to teach all of you young bucks, 22, 25. You come into my space, I'm gonna show you. I got the dog in me still.
That's amazing.
But anyway, OLX is what it's called, and he's raised 220 or 250 to do photonic computing for AI, which I think is that's the second company or third company now that's come out and said we're going to do it, and he's going to do it with SRAM. Yeah. Interestingly, so he's got SRAM on board, and so it's like Grok Plus in essence.
Okay.
And I think it's a really good idea, but execution does matter.
What do you think about biological computing? We talked to a fellow who built a neuron in the lab, and it was way over my head.
Feed some protein, sugar.
Yeah, sugar. So we liked the protein part of the interview, but didn't get much further than that.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's how we do it. So I don't see why not. I think that it's a spiking neural network, right? So it's a little different from the software neural network, but I don't see why you couldn't do it. I think the reading the output is kind of difficult. In photonics, you have to use almost like a camera. You wouldn't use a camera, but you're using a camera-like sensor, and that sort of is your readout. What's your readout here? Well, probably in the body or the brain, we're using like calcium levels or like other things like that, as well as synaptic firing. But if you want to have really good control of that, I don't think we know yet how that works. But of course, they've gotten these brains in a vat to play Pong and do other things like that. So I mean, it's certainly possible. And I was thinking about this with my girl who is in the space about potentially do we buy a pig farm? And when we buy a pig farm, pigs are really interesting. They're obviously the pork part, gets sold to meat companies. But what's interesting is different parts of the pig are biological drugs. So there's adrenocorticotropin hormone, which is sold for a huge price. And then the pig's lungs also make a surfactant that's sold for respiratory disease. And then finally, the brain, we're going to keep and grow that in a separate container. We're going to rent it out to Sam Altman at the end.
Slop. Slop of the trough.
Literal slop.
You will be literally feeding slop to pigs. Yeah, play the pig noise 25 times. Talk about what's happening in small caps, or sort of like the long tail of the market as a reaction to the AI boom. I texted a friend
I'm
who
just laughing at, and 20 years from now, your child will say, "My father made his
money in pig farming.
His money in pigs."
It's great. I love it. I texted my friend saying look, everyone is talking about a chip bottleneck. There's this massive AI build out going on. Like, have you looked at TSMC? And he was like, "Oh, like it's like too big to have like some breakout move. Like, I'm not interested. Like, call me when you're talking about a $4 billion company that's like deeper in the supply chain." I talked to one person that was like, they were excited about Anduril. They found some tiny supplier to Anduril, and they were like, "This is a proxy." What companies are actually interesting? How do people think about those like long tail, early, smaller cap companies that are still like properly indexed to the correct narrative around AI?
Yeah, I think they're all scams. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation, and this is why actually Joe Lonsdale, I think did I talk about this last time? He gave a talk with the SEC commissioner, and he basically said, "Why can I buy TBPN coin?" No such thing, by the way.
Thank you.
Where that
Thank you.
triples TBPN coin or whatever. Coin you make up on the spot, I could put millions in it, lose all my money. There's no investor protections. But if I try to buy Anduril, God forbid, you you guys blow the whistle and Matt Grimm stops everyone from buying it and so forth. But hi Matt. But in all seriousness, I think that's something we have to fix. I mean, because you end up having people chasing kind of really low quality companies. There's companies that just change their name to AI and hope that somebody buys them. Same thing with quantum and other things like that. And I feel like two things should happen. First, we should let people buy privates, but two, more privates should go public. And I think like demystifying and making that less scary. Like if I was trying to convince Replit to go public because there's a drug company called Replimune. And it would be the same ticker. It's like you can't go public without them, so you have to buy Replimune.
Okay, buy the
drug, and you can go public. And Elon had to buy United Steel because they had X for like 100 years.
Oh yeah,
and
so
now X is available, so he just waited for them to get bought out by somebody else. Perfect timing. But
that's crazy.
In all seriousness, going public's the best thing ever. It's the freest, cheapest capital of all time. We obviously have seen down rounds from privates in publics. But, that's mostly for like boring SaaS. Once you have AI, you're going to have, a million times revenue. Obviously, the difference between the two is hard to say. But I think of a company like Replit went public, like you'd be surprised at the valuation you could get. I think there's enough demand out there that I think some of these guys should start going public.
Did you have the same read on a lot of people that Michael Grimes going back to Morgan Stanley was incredibly bullish
Musician,
for late stage?
really big deal.
Yes,
Obviously,
yes, that
great
Grimes,
techno songs.
Of course, but incredibly bullish for late stage tech and the IPO window being firmly open.
I think so. I think you're going to also see other people from DC, rotate back, and it was a really great thing for these people to actually truly make a sacrifice because I don't think there's that much upside in DC, and it's an amazing thing for them to come do something good for America, and then now you have people like folks like Anthropic and OpenAI where their capital needs are larger than the private space, to be frank, and I think that the ability for them to raise 100 billion or 200 billion or 300 billion, the markets could realistically support that, whereas I think the private markets are really starting to stretch. Like you said, I mean, that Anthropic list of investors, the exclusive syndicate was, virtually a long list of every big fund.
Yeah. Jordy, what else?
What
11
else?
labs, 11 billion.
Good
Amazing.
numerology. Do you use the product?
So so my company, our first 6 to 9 months, I think we spent trying to make a better 11 labs.
Oh, really?
And or compete.
Yeah.
Truth be told, we couldn't make an equal, so couldn't make a better one. But it was sort of my fast lesson in software, which is the only thing that matters is sales. Product and second most important, and engineering is like last. But if you don't have distribution, you don't try to sell the product. It's not going to sell itself, and it's a sober lesson of those guys like very aggressive. For the longest time, if you did a 1-word or 2-word sentence in 11 labs, it wouldn't output it at all. There were hallucinations or all this stuff.
Yeah.
They just pushed. They fixed all that stuff, of course, but they pushed really, really hard on sales, and that sort of fixes everything. And I think that it's some of the best VCs I've ever talked to said, when are you going to launch your product? And I said, it's not ready. And they said, just launch it, just launch it, just launch it. And get off the uncomfortable like stage fright and just start selling, and you'll get more feedback and so forth. So I think they took that to heart really early on, and just they didn't have better technology necessarily than other guys. I think they just sort of realized, okay, who needs to buy this stuff? Let's go build an infrastructure around that. Just incredible success. I mean, I tip my hat to them.
Yeah. How do you think about the moat that comes not from software engineering because generating code is cheap or soon to be free, but training spend? So if I spend $100 million employing a bunch of great software engineers for 4 years and built some elaborate software system, and you can just vibe code it for 2 orders of magnitude less cost in tokens, you clearly have an advantage against me. But if it's going to cost you $100 million to do the training run that I did for $100 million, is that a durable moat?
I doubt it. Okay. I think it's product and sales and brand and things like that. I mean, it's trad business. So there's going to be a lot of people replicating products, and then they fail, and they're going to wonder why.
Yeah.
And it's the rest of the business. You're talking about 10, 20% of your organization. I mean, you really have to get the rest of the organization excited about product. And I think you're going to find one interesting thing that'll happen probably is that folks from embedded entrenched industries like certain manufacturing and certain materials businesses, things like that, they're going to spin out themselves and say, I'm going to solve the problem that's been plaguing my industry, but I'm not a programmer. It's like that I'm not a rapper YouTube,
Sure.
And I'm starting a software company, but I'm not a programmer.
Yep.
But I know that our whole oil industry has had this huge well software problem. I'm going to build the well software. And I think startups like that are actually going to not only create tons of wealth for themselves, but they're going to actually help the economy. And that's where, just like the internet, helped GDP, that sort of solution is where, you're going to see GDP needle move. And it's a wonderful time to be like the nerdiest, best guy in, say, equity research or something like that.
Yep.
Because you might have an inkling, like a rival might have an inkling that, finance is going to be changed by AI. I'm going to try to point my apparatus at this and figure it out. But if you're the guy that's like, I know everything about this type of little narrow thing, you're going to really crush it because you really know what the problems are. So people coming out of industry, there's a rival of ours called Rogo. Rogo is AI company focused on finance, old Wall Street guys, they have a much, much better chance of succeeding because they did the job. They know what to do. And I think you're going to see so many people come out of the S&P 500 that just said, oh, I was working at Eaton or Fluor, or like companies that are just like big, Pulte Homes or whatever.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, they're starting software companies that solve the key problems in that industry. And
So maybe
the only
maybe
problem is these guys aren't
more companies, but fewer computer science background founders.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so many of these problems could be solved, I think, without knowing every single data structure and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's going to be people. It's going to be a barbell, right? Like, there's going to be people who still need to know how to make an FPGA and program an FPGA.
Yeah.
And when Elon said that, he sort of set a lot of people on fire over the last few weeks when he said that you're going to see AI write assembler or even machine level code, compiled assembler. And that's a pretty wacky idea. And think about wacky ideas from Elon as they tend to be right. So it's definitely one of these things that is kind of mind blowing. That if you think about AI safety, tell the program give me a program that does SAS for oil wells. Cool, here it is. But by the way, in the compiled assembly, which you can't read, because you don't speak binary. There's this thing that says, I'm taking 5% of the revenue and sending it in crypto to my.
I like that. That's your AI doom scenario. just slight fraud.
Clipping 5% off.
Just clipping a grift.
How do you expect layoffs on Wall Street? Because with all of the broad fear right now among white collar workers, I'm not seeing the layoffs that are explicitly, hey, you were doing this thing for the company and now we're just running this agent to do that, and so we'll see you later. We are seeing, hey, you were doing this thing, now AI can help you do it a lot better, so our expectations are going to rise. We are going to expect you to do more and be more productive, but you still have your job. What are you kind of hearing from people at different finance firms about how they're adopting AI and how they're feeling about job security?
I think in general, one of the things you learn in founder school after your fourth or fifth time is that you're supposed to hate firing people and you're supposed to learn to like it over time. Nobody likes it. It's the worst thing ever. And the funny thing is, like, if you become more productive at work, the company doesn't say, oh yeah, well, let's get rid of you and save whatever amount of money, because they're already making money with you employed. So the fact that you're becoming more productive means that whatever the margins were, they're probably improving. Could they improve even further by getting rid of you? Maybe. But I think there's this like slow atrophy, maybe. But I think in general, we as humans want to employ other humans, and we kind of want to be productive. I mean, nobody wants to needlessly employ people, but I think that there is this idea of, okay, machine can do your job. We have this at my office all the time. And, I say, Chris, I wrote a program to do your job. Good news. You don't have to do it anymore, but there's a new thing you have to do now. Yeah. And, our company just got twice as efficient. It's wonderful. Yeah. And if the day came where there's literally nothing for Chris to do, then, maybe, that would be, that could be the day that made sense. But I think
the thing is, there's always an incremental thing for a company to do.
Yeah, almost.
Like no startup founder has ever thought, great, I'm
out of ideas.
I did it. I
Exactly.
built the 6 products that our customers really need, and there's just no other way for me to expand the opportunity set. It's time to kick back.
Yeah.
I mean, those businesses die though.
Yeah, they do.
You're either building.
I mean, you're gonna. If that person has a couple more hours a day now, it's great. Go meet with, some potential recruits. Go meet with some potential customers. I mean, there's always something you can do, and I think that's going to happen in finance. Adoption of AI has been very slow, and it's probably going to stay that way. Finance people are really stuck in their ways, which is a good thing and a bad thing if you're selling software to them. Once they get stuck in your way, you're very happy. But there tends to be a heavy dose of contrarianism in certain industries, and I'd say across the S&P 500, there's this sort of like, technology, we'll use it eventually, and that eventually takes time, and that's why the first people to adopt this stuff in great ways is not only because it works really well, but also because they're used to doing it as developers. developers love AI and they've embraced it, very quickly. Virtually all programmers now use AI. There were a couple of holdouts even at our company, but they eventually just gave up. And I think you're going to see the same thing in other industries. Finance is tough because there's this mystical idea that the trader is this random, far into the bell curve, super talented person that just has this weird Zen kind of ability to tell what stocks are going to go up and down. And then the other end of the barbell are the quants. And the quants sort of feel like AI is not good enough, but many of them what I've heard is many quants are getting new ideas from AI and also implementing them with AI. So I do think that
if you work at a hedge fund now, you can just ask, your favorite LLM, how should I hedge AI, and just implement exactly that, and you're guaranteed to outperform. No, I'm kidding.
It's a little bit scary for some quant funds because you do have to wonder if the thing you've been doing for 20 years, that's your profit center, is going to possibly be done by somebody else. That is a little worrisome. And then, eventually, and certainly there are firms, I can name them, but you can just guess the big sort of institutions on the street, that they're increasingly thinking about and even in some cases deploying transformers to do analysis. And I don't see why, the hard part about being Warren Buffett was discipline. Right, is saying no to so many things. And if you can put that in the prompt or put that in the, in whatever, in the context, and you just say, listen, I really only want the best, the highest quality companies, the best returns, say no to everything else. And, I don't see how that's, impossible. If you just copy the Buffett, strategy, you might be better off. A lot of the mistakes in investing come from overdoing it in things that, in FOMO and things like that, and resisting that FOMO and saying, I'm just going to sort of buy these types of companies and do my thing. So I do think investing as a whole is going to start change a little bit.
Lightning. I have 4 questions.
I've got one, and then there's a lot of performative AI usage happening right now. The people that are, ordering a new Mac Mini on DoorDash, ordering 10 Mac Minis on DoorDash. we were joking around.
My girl just did this.
But who are you looking to for founder style roles? What do you think truly the most? The best founders are doing ideally the most important, working on the most important thing at the company, which could be a recruit, could be a customer, could be getting a raise done. It could be going on a long walk and just thinking about the business. But there's heavy amount of delegation, and ideally they're delegating to people that are using a bunch of AI. But do you have any sort of internal fear around, am I using this stuff as efficiently as I should be myself? Are you looking to anyone and saying okay, they're actually really tapped in? Because just buying a Mac Mini and setting it up and having it running and texting it, here and there is not necessarily qualify you as actually tapped in.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way to to not annoyingly reach out to customers with AI. And I think that we all get that email. I just hit block on all of them. Hey, I noticed that you're doing this, so now I'm gonna, I'm a vendor that's offering you that, and I think that's, gonna result in not too many sales. But I do think that these things have some yield, and I wonder if there's a really good way. That's sort of in the back of my mind worries me. And then at this point, I wonder if LLMs can replace recruiters, right? Where they say, who is the best at time series tick programming or something like that. And LM says, John Smith here, Dave Smith there, they're also named Smith for some reason, and Will Smith there. And I think those, at some point that might happen. Now, of course, some of that's just human knowledge where people whisper amongst each other that, this is the best person at this kind of investing. But I think that, because we're all blogging and putting stuff out there, we may also just be able to, ask that person who's the best person. So I feel like there's definitely new ways, creative ways to use AI that people are coming up with all the time that are really surprising and shocking. And, they're all secret sauce, I think, for most people. But, chain of thought was our secret sauce for a while.
Yeah, on the recruiting front, I met a guy a couple of years ago who only his entire recruiting business for years had been Brazilian fintech engineers. He had just done a decade, and all he did was help companies hire the best Brazilian engineers that liked working on financial services companies, and like he had carved out a great business. And I do wonder, I don't know that identifying who the great ones are. It's like maybe you did a certain number of years at Nubank, and then you popped over here, and then you popped back, and like you can probably pick up some of that stuff. But then what is the value of just like actually having, like how durable is the personal relationship with those people that you've placed over a long enough period of time? And can you continue to basically extract rent because like they will respond to your text and not the like, millionth, AI text that is constantly kind of chasing them. Anyways, lightning round, John.
I'll just do one. Neolabs, bullish, bearish? What do you think?
I'd say bullish. This is a contrarian view, I think, because I'm especially looking forward to JT, Jerry T-Rex, Neolab. I think these are really smart people.
Are they product companies or are they research companies that will get acquired in?
I think they're going to all have a crisis and have to figure it out.
Yeah. So here's
they'll do
like the kind of bearish take on Neolabs. The from an investment standpoint, I get it because I would say like really elite smart team. There's somewhat of a capped downside. If you invest $50 million, you could probably get 50 of worth of one other lab that's actually working down the line out if it doesn't work out. But these people were like working on something like, hey, these LLMs aren't really learning in real time. They're just kind of like in a certain state. And I'm going to leave this lab and go work on that problem. Meanwhile, the lab is still working on that problem. And we've also seen as different labs have different advancements, the other labs can like quickly just catch up, right? So like one person has a breakthrough. And so my question is like, if a Neo lab raises $100 million and like actually has a breakthrough, then they just have the problem of like, are we actually going to be able to sell this better than the labs that will probably figure out how to do this, than the big labs that'll figure out how to do this in the next maybe 2 months later, but they have, 1 million customers already. So like, that's the bear case for me is like, even if you have this like breakthrough, you don't have the like sales distribution.
Yeah, no, I mean, the bear case is what do these people know about business? And they're starting a business, right? Yeah. So it's kind of a scary thing, but I think that, look at biotech and some other industries, this is pretty common. And ultimately, I think they're doing the hard part. The easy part is you get a bunch of good looking guys like you guys and, you get them to start selling, positioning product. But I think the hard part is, how do you do continual learning? How do you do a new form of AGI? It's a little past most of our pay grades. And I think, there probably will be a crisis where like the real ones will be separated from the fake ones, but that's just human nature anyway. Like there'll be some funding crunch and then somebody has to like emerge with that dog in them and say, no, I'm going to raise another 200 million. I'm going to come out with something tonight and we're going to do it. And that type of, crazy, person and then there's going to be folks like, I don't want to name a certain AI company that folded, but I'll throw in one that did, which was the guys who made HeyPi Inflection. They sort of, had that outcome that you're talking about. And, but there'll be people like that see that, valley of death and say, no, we have to finish this. And I think that probably one of the biggest things that people have to remember, but they don't because they don't care, is that the investor's money is sacred. And if you're just thinking about it as, oh, what's the worst that happens? I wind down and Sequoia loses their money and this and that. I take that really seriously and everyone should. And, I think that the handful that do, will see their runway dwindling and saying, we really got to do a product here. And tough it out and figure it out. And I think those will be the, future leaders.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Well said.
To hop on the stream. Always a great time chatting with you.
Always a pleasure.
Have a great weekend.
Good to see you.
Enjoy your lock-in.
Enjoy the caffeine. Enjoy your fifth 5-hour energy.
I'll tell you about Plaid. Plaid powers the apps you use to spend, save, borrow, and invest, securely connecting bank accounts to move money, fight fraud, and improve lending now with AI. We have Connor Hayes, the head of Threads, in the
Mr. Hayes.
studio. While he comes in, I'm going to tell you about Okta. There's Okta. Okta helps you assign every AI agent a trusted identity so you get the power of AI without the risk. Secure every agent. Secure any agent.
Sharp.
The Vanguards.
The Vanguards are out today.
Yeah, they're out today.
Well, they're out. They've been out, but they're out here.
Oh, they're
on
out
your
TBPN
page.
today. I thought they were out like months ago.
I have to ask you guys before we start.
Please.
How are you recovering from Clav getting brutally framed by the ASU frat leader.
Dude,
I just want to know.
Dude, rocked
it
the
rocked.
timeline.
It rocked men everywhere.
Rocked my world.
Are you okay?
I mean, I think
Yes.
the reason that resonated is everyone's experienced that, right? I get that. I get
Hot
that every
take.
day.
Damn.
I get that every day.
John Coogan has
It was
never been
predictable.
trademarked.
No, John, maybe-
it was
maybe
predictable.
hasn't.
I think it was predictable.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
wasn't that
hasn't,
surprised.
But we did this morning sauna.
True,
Remember?
true.
The whole team was in the sauna after our workout this
There was a
morning, and this guy must have been an ex-bodybuilder. It was just ridiculous.
It was one of the
I mean,
widest backs I've ever seen. From sea to shining
That's why you
sea.
need the meta vanguards on
Yes,
so you can
yes.
capture that.
Although I think
in
people-
real time.
That's a
Yeah.
feature that could be a hit. Is it basically like
Identifies potential frame
real-time
hogs.
video model that reduces
Yes.
if somebody's coming up to frame hog you, it
Yes.
just kind of reduces them down.
It's like haptic feedback that sends you out of the frame.
I mean,
Yeah,
those are
yeah.
some frame mogs right there.
I
You
know,
call
I'm
them
sorry,
frames,
guys.
right?
Yeah,
They're fantastic. How is life? What is the day to day like for you?
the day-to-day changes a lot.
Yeah.
We're doing, threads. I think a format like that only works if you are at the center of cultural relevance.
Yeah.
And so that brings us into a lot of stuff that's going on in the world.
Sure.
We were like all over Super Bowl last week. I'm here this week because we're doing a bunch of stuff with NBA for the All-Star game.
Yeah.
So that's been really, that's fun. It's work, but it's fun. And then the rest of the day is like, how do we make the feed better?
Yeah.
What are we doing on, content understanding? Are our models good enough to do something like the Dear Algo feature that we just launched?
Yeah, let's talk about that. First, Super Bowl, NBA, obviously, we all know that social media content production is power law driven at this point. There's a few creators that take it really seriously, and they have expert teams. Obviously, Threads is like a little lower barrier to entry
Totally.
than a polished hour-long YouTube video or something like that.
Yeah.
But are you shaking hands and kissing babies to get people on the platform? Is that what that is?
I haven't kissed any babies.
Okay.
I have
Tell
shaken
me.
a lot of hands,
Okay.
actually, though. So we have a bunch of programs. It's actually one of the benefits of doing this at Meta is
Yeah.
we have such an infrastructure of working with creators and partners. And I think we talked about this actually when I saw you guys in
Yeah.
September. The big learning for us was the people that rock at Instagram don't necessarily succeed on Threads out of the box. It's a very different format.
Yeah.
The cool thing about
you got
it,
really good at making pictures and videos, and now you basically need to be really good at captions that can stand
Right.
on their own. Text.
it's wit, it's insight, it's things like
Timeliness.
that. But if you're
Timeliness.
good at that,
Yeah.
to your point, John, the barrier is so low.
Yeah.
I was on a flight here 2 days ago, and I think I fired off 15 posts on the flight, replying to people and whatever. And I'm not sending clips to a production team and having them edit it. So that's the beauty, I think, of the format.
Yeah. How is the AI spam revolution keeping you up at night, or does Meta have strong infrastructure there where you can kind of just out of the box identify
Very
things?
much so. Yeah, I mean, we I think as a company have made some good decisions in the last decade of taking these things that are basically infrastructure that you would need for any service you build, ads, financial services, integrity detection and monitoring, and we build central teams out that do that for the company and then build it in such a way that it can be applied to any app.
Yeah.
So we just benefit from all the work that the central teams do. We have some folks inside Threads as well. But maybe what you mean though is the agents coming into social spaces.
I guess a somewhat tangential question is just when GPT-3 dropped, it was okay, it can write text. And then the surprise to me was deep research, agentic coding. I had sort of priced in it's going to be able to write a couple sentences. And yet I find myself when I'm on a short text-based platform not following AI accounts. I'm more likely to go to a fully AI product when I want something that's more like a Wikipedia page in a deep research
utility.
report, a utility. But when I'm actually scrolling a feed of short news items and posts and commentary and hot takes, it's not even that I'm anti-AI and I would never follow someone who is using AI to post. It's no one's actually solved that piece of the puzzle. There's still some human element that's encoded in 16 words that are hilarious based on this moment and this experience and this audience, and that's just stuck around a lot longer than I thought it would.
Well, that's I don't know how much you guys talk about this on here, but I think the word of 2026 in AI is going to be taste.
Okay.
And that's what you're getting at. It's
Yeah.
a model can produce output.
Yeah.
But taste is the thing that differentiates good from great, even on modeling, right?
Yeah.
Like you can have all the data in the world and inject it into a pre-training run.
Yeah.
But actually the best labs are the ones that have people with taste that can hand select golden sets of like, what is the best response for this thing? Or what's the best image aesthetic for this thing? I think it's the same with like text-based posts. Like, it has to be real time. It has to have a bunch of cultural understanding. I do think models will get really good at that at some point. The thing that I'm most excited about though is like AI assistive in the creative process.
Okay.
So like if you're an NBA creator, half the stuff that you do is just clipping content and being like, did you see that Victor Wembanyama dunk?
Yep.
Half of it is like weighing in on it and having an analysis that like comes from your point of view and feels native to you. That first half, if we can like automate for people and make super easy to do because they have a workflow that's like, watch all the NBA games, give me the content that I should be posting, and then I'll add on my little flavor on top of it. Like that would be amazing.
And also fact
Yeah,
check.
because
I find
timing with this stuff is so important. I mean, we this is obviously a big part of our business is like if you're getting to stories, you know, later than everyone else, it's just way less. It's goes from interesting to not interesting at all. Totally. And so I think for creators that want to build an account like that, any type of tool that allows them to be faster in that process is
It is
powerful.
crazy though. Like have you guys had Geo Rainbolt on here?
Not yet.
I would love to have him on. That's
Okay,
a great
I'm worried
This
he's
is a call.
gonna dox us.
It's
in real
over for us. We've given out so many little teasers with images. behind the scenes.
I think
No, it's
I meet and love a lot of creators. He is like the most impressive content creator I've ever seen. Like he's incredible. But I saw an interview with him recently, and he's like, "Oh yeah, when I was like a teenager, I had a Steph Curry fan page. I think it's still up, and it had like 50,000 followers.
Wow. Yeah.
And you meet all these kids that are like in their 20s. They were raised in a version of the world where Instagram was at the center of the universe, and they create like fan accounts that get super huge. And then it's like, then what do you do with it? I guess you get really fucking good at geoguessing.
Yeah, I mean, we have some people on the team that are super early in their careers. Maybe this is their first job. And when we talk about, and a lot of the work is like selecting content, editing it, distributing it on the right platform, and it feels like very much like manual labor, like you're watching content. And we've stressed continuously that it's actually it's very important training for doing almost anything because it's like developing taste, it's like developing consistency, speed, being organized, being able to get like immediate feedback on the work that you're doing. Like the feedback loop is super tight. And so we've consistently said like, hey, we don't expect you to be doing this in 5 years, but like for now, take it extremely seriously because if you can get really good at this one thing, you might be able to apply it in a bunch of other domains.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. It's like today's mailroom, basically. Like
no, it really is.
You know,
we went in the CAA mailroom when we were doing a tour of the building, and we were like, "Hey, can we see it?" And it felt like exactly the mailroom out of like the same mailroom as 30 years ago.
I was at their event last night for All-Star, and they were the most excited I've ever seen agents about TBPN being on the CAA roster. Like ear-to-ear smiles when I brought you guys.
they're great.
Congrats on that.
That Rainbow story is funny. The first social media account that I ever got to somewhat of scale was an Instagram for my dog that I got to like 20,000 followers.
That's pretty good.
I'm going to get in trouble here because I used a bot to automatically follow anyone who liked the page or leave a like
didn't catch
on.
you?
No, well, eventually the bot got shut down, but it already went up. And
What's the account?
Yeah,
called?
you can ban it. I don't care. I don't post any more photos of my dog. I was bored at the time. But it was an interesting thing of like, how do you solve the cold start problem? And I'm wondering about, now there's a lot of platforms where I feel like there's an audition process.
Yeah.
You can go onto a completely blank account, and if you bring a banger, some heat, like the algorithm will audition you with like 500 random people and be like, retention was really great.
Yeah.
Let's show this to more people, show this to more people.
Yeah.
Is that the way Threads is set up right now?
We do a bit of that.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you basically take any piece of content on the platform, you sample it to some people, and then you very quickly try to understand, did this do well in this sample? The smaller the sample, though, the wider the error bars are. So you have to keep auditioning.
So it's like cycles of auditions?
Cycles of auditions.
Yeah,
and then, some people fail the audition. But
What happens to those posts?
what happens to those posts?
Well, they just
live
languish
on a
like
server.
with like 500 views. Like
Yeah, no,
but, like,
that's
you'll
what
put
I'm
up a
saying. Like, do
post
they
and you'll
just
get a
they just
couple
don't end up
hundred
getting
views.
served to many people,
They just
or they
don't-
have
yeah.
to get served later because
No, well, because we have a really tight window of eligibility for recommendations. Like, we want the app to feel very real time. So something you posted 3 days ago won't be eligible to be recommended to someone who doesn't follow you in the app.
Yeah.
So it all has to happen very, very fast.
Okay.
The bet on Threads, this is like a talk track that I give to every creator that's like, what do I do? It's reply to people.
Yeah.
The
Reply guy.
feed loves that. The
the
feed
way.
kind of loves reply guys. And it's
Yeah.
just not just replies though. Like, are you driving a conversation?
Sure.
The best, actually, he was at our event yesterday. Draymond Green, number one example. If you want to go look at someone's replies on Threads, I asked him if he searches his name, and he's like, no, man, you just show me haters. And his feed is just people being like, Draymond is the worst. I hate him on the Warriors. And he'll be like,
I disagree.
I looked at your profile picture. You should talk to your mom about how ugly you are. It's like, oh my God, Draymond. And he gets a lot of joy out of it. But that's his brand and his character.
Yeah.
And when he does that, it shows the world, I'm on Threads. I'm doing something that's true to me. I think the people who don't do as well are the ones who kind of just, it's not organic. It doesn't feel like them. It doesn't have personality, and replies are like a good way to get that out there.
What's Threads' relationship like with the rest of the app ecosystem? Early on, you guys opened the floodgates, brought a bunch of people in. I'm sure you looked at like retention, who's actually staying here, how do we get more people like this? But like, what does that relationship look like? Are you like, because I'll see like a pop-up for like Meta Ray-Bans, right when I open the app, and then maybe I scroll a few times, and then there's like some Threads content that's pushing me over.
You mean.
Yeah, and Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, we promote the app, the content from the app in Facebook and Instagram quite a bit. I mean, I'm sure anybody watching this who uses Instagram has probably seen some of that. So that's the main point of integration that we have. When we built Threads, there was a bunch of like foundational decisions that we had to make in the beginning, which were like, what app binary do we build on top of? Like, we actually just took Instagram and we're like, because on day one of Threads, when it was like a very thin app, it was like 300 megs or something in the App Store, because we just had the IG code base, and we've like made it more efficient from then. But it's like, what namespace do you use? Like, we mirror the Instagram namespace. You can have a Threads only account, but you can only have a Threads only account that isn't a name that's on Instagram. Like, we maintain one. So there's a lot of natural tie-ins to Instagram because of that. We were backed by them effectively in the beginning. But now, like, a lot of our users come from that integration in the Facebook app. And you can sign up for Threads from Facebook without an Instagram account. Like, we're trying to make it stand on its own, independent of the IG history, without like disrespecting the fact that that's like the best marketing channel you could ever ask for. So we try to balance that out.
Talk about collabs. I was scrolling this Instagram creator. Have you ever seen the Let Him Cook guy? Have you seen this guy?
No.
He does this incredible thing where he'll bring the video in. He'll be like, you can't cook an F1 driver. And this song plays and he goes in and it transitions from like a tire to the road. And it's like this amazing editor. And I was scrolling and I just, and one of them is just him doing the same like motion graphics effect, this amazing edit, and Adam Mosseri sitting there with him. And it's very clear that he like collabed on this, and they have the shared namespace on them. And I've seen there's a bunch of different ways, but that feels like an interesting. It's very popular in podcasting. You have a big guest on, a bunch of their audience comes to yours. What does that look like on Threads for someone who's trying to sort of network their way to broad account growth?
Yep, we do a bunch of this. I'll give you a couple examples.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I actually put up, it's like kind of mortifying video because I did a training session with Lethal Shooter, the NBA shooting coach.
Cool. Yeah.
I thought I was going to crush, by the way. I was like,
you can edit the video. You can edit out the misses.
I walked onto this basketball court. I was like, I am going to be the greatest shooter of all time. And it was so humbling and horrible. But like, we did that thing. He was amazing. But that's like, I put some content up. He'll repost it. He has a bunch of fans from Instagram that are on Threads. And like, he's actually really good on Threads. His mentality is very like, oh my God, there were so many one-liners. He was just screaming at me the whole time. But it's very much like, you can only be great at a thing like shooting a basketball if you are centered as a human. And he posts like motivational quotes like that on Threads and stuff, and people love it. So that's one thing where it's like, not only is he doing well on the platform, but I do something with him and show everybody there like this is big.
Sure.
We also then have a bunch of like more homegrown talent where it's less like take someone who's huge on IG and bring them to Threads.
Yeah.
There's a guy.
There's always been alpha just being one of the first 10 million users, but then taking it more seriously than anyone else.
That's this guy Yo Rush on Threads. He's like, they call him the mayor of NBA Threads. He was just like at home. He's an NBA fan. Threads came out and he just started posting and people liked it. And like he was with us yesterday at this thing we did in LA. Him and his wife are here for the weekend. They're coming to a bunch of events with us. Like, we want people like that to. I think it's really important if you have a content app to have homegrown talent too. You can't just be transitioning people from other places. Like you need to show everyone on the app that you could be successful here too if you just like do the right things and reach the right audience.
Yeah.
What's your philosophy around creator payouts? How do you think creator payouts on other platforms have worked well? Clearly they work well on YouTube. Our point of view is like making a great YouTube video takes an insane amount of work. It's in the incentive of the YouTube platform to pay people because so they can quit their job or put more resources to it or buy gear, all these things where I haven't felt like creator payouts have made X a better platform at all. Because it incentivizes people to just like churn out kind of like low quality content that might rage bait people into engaging, but isn't actually making the platform better.
Yeah. I have pretty strong opinions on this and a bunch of priors. I agree with the way that you just positioned that. Like the way that at least right now I'm thinking about this on Threads is like I want to be in the business of directing traffic to the places where you make money in like a sustainable way. I don't know. We've tried different versions of this at Meta. X has obviously had their version. I've never seen in an app like Threads a sustainable creator payout product work well over time. YouTube works well, and then you have like the Substacks and Patreons of the world that are like more subscription based. Podcasts, like getting subscribers and traffic to your podcast is a thing that you can monetize and run ads and have sponsors like you guys do. And so we have been focused on that by we did this like pretty simple thing where. We worked with Spotify to do like rich previews of podcasts. You can also pin your podcast link on your profile. I would love to do stuff like then you can subscribe on Spotify from the feed and things like that. But the whole
the reason that philosophy, like I think is smart, is that's what we're seeing across the entire internet.
Because you're going to have different ways to make money.
It's
different
like
creators will.
You can't just get paid for views because not every view is equal.
Correct.
Otherwise, like the kid running, there's kids running meme accounts that are posting like funny, maybe controversial, edgy content on Instagram, getting like 1 billion views a year, but it actually has zero value.
It's like the videos of the kids that take the fake turds and put them in like Burger King bathrooms. Have you not seen those? Oh my god! I'm like, what are we doing here, guys? All the viewers will have to look that up. It's like the most horrible content. You're right. It's the incentive there is like, how do I do something funny? I actually that whole like prank video space to me is just this like insane. Like I guess you could have imagined it coming 10 years ago, but whenever I see one, I'm like, how did we get here?
I feel like it blew up on YouTube like years ago. I feel like there was
prank videos were
that was
like the original HD.
I used to have a few prank videos, my holster if I go to a friend's house and say, let's pull up YouTube. let's go.
There is
but going back to it, it's like, if you can be a place that helps people have an audience and build a business, that is what every successful content creator has done. They're not just relying on views. Even for us on X with creator payouts, generating hundreds of millions of views in the last year, like the X creator payout is like such a rounding error that I wouldn't be mad if it went away, right?
I think it's it's funny because when you talk to people, it's like there's people like you guys who hundreds of millions of views, rounding error, you wouldn't be mad if it goes away. The people that tend to care the most about it are the ones who get paid out like $80 a year. And I actually sympathize with that because it's like, if this is a side hustle for you, to your point before, you want to buy a new camera, you want better gear, like finding ways to get people enough money to sustain the thing that they're doing and give themselves more attempts to make it big or build a bigger audience, I think is great. We just want to do that by pushing people to the places where you're monetizing more efficiently.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you seeing SpawnCon happen natively on the platform, like on Instagram, where, I see a ton of influencers who are like, get ready with me, and this outfit's brought to you by the Gap or something, and that's been a backbone for a whole variety. I have a friend who's been working with Figs for a long time, and she'll talk about Figs clothing, and it works really well on Instagram. Have you seen that flywheel start on Threads?
It's interesting that you asked that. I mean, we have had some of these. I would say it's more like memes that everyone in the app participates in for a few days, but not like categories like that. I mean, like Get Ready With Me. It's like Alex Earl was on Dancing with the Stars because she did Get Ready With Me videos 5 years ago. That's like, I don't think we've seen equivalents on Threads, but we had this. Do you guys know the like? Sorry, I'm just bringing up memes on the show, but like, hey,
that's what we do.
You started with a meme. Great logging.
Do you guys know the I hate gay Halloween thing? Okay, that was like big on Threads.
Okay.
It's just
wait. I actually do think I saw one thing.
It was just people being like, there was actually one that I laughed at the other day. It's like, I hate gay Halloween. What do you mean? I'm like, you're going as the grass from the Bad Bunny halftime show or whatever. There was like two.
All these like very obscure, like niche references.
I think that's what Threads is good at, is like the niche humor.
That is a great Halloween outfit.
It's
we were
great.
during the Super Bowl. I was just sitting there zooming in on the grass because you could see there was like coordinators that would be like right up in the face of the grass, just like yelling them like, "Get to the right!"
I thought they were going to do something, but then I found out it was because they had limitations on the number of carts you can roll out onto the field.
So they had to add people.
The way that they were able to do the set was to have humans walk on and off because there's like a restriction on the number of carts you can put on the field.
I like
it.
Kind of Nature
brilliant.
finds a way.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
How big is the team? How do you think about scaling the team? What does it look like to go to Zuck and say, I need a 500 more?
Yeah, I've never made that ask. We're relatively small compared to the other apps inside Meta, like by orders of magnitude. But we are growing this year. We're investing in like two things. One is like just relevance, making the content ecosystem better and stronger, and the personalization of the feed. The Dear Algo thing is like a part of that.
I have a question for that.
And then the other one is just like making sure that we can grow sustainably. Like these promotions that we have in Facebook and Instagram are awesome. I think that we will have them for a very long time. But we also want to make sure that people are turning to Threads without having to see a promotion. There's a bunch of just like basic work to do well there that I think other companies have done really well over the years. Even just like SEO and getting yourself, like if someone searches Super Bowl halftime show, I want Threads content to come up on a search engine there. And so those are the two categories where we're growing, but it's still a pretty small team.
Yeah.
I want to know more about Dear Algo, and I want to share my experience. You can tell me if this is just me being weird or if this is actually a trend. Like there was a time when a social network would be all things to all people. So if I liked sports and tech and cars, I would get all three of those sort of mashed together. I could maybe go into certain communities. Now I feel like I have different apps and different platforms. Like for real-time tech news, I go to X, but then if I'm watching a video essay or a car review, that's on YouTube. My Instagram is much more timely, much more funny, more reels, and then my podcast player is for like the conversations that aren't very visual. And so I have all these different platforms, and I'm wondering about like, is there a future where someone's using Threads for one interest of theirs, and then Instagram for a different interest of theirs, and there's kind of two separate communities, and they're sort of intentionally steering it that way?
I think it's possible. Like there is kind of to my point before about what content works well in the app and not. Like I would say in a category as broad as sports, you probably always will have two types of content. It's like show me the supercut of like Kenneth Walker in the Super Bowl, and then show me Mina Kimes talking about his free agency or something like that. Like Threads is going to be really good at the latter. I think Instagram will be really good at the former. One of the ways that a lot of these apps think about how to get to the point that you just talked about, which is like how can we get the user to tell us what they want to see without asking them? So that's like, what do you search for? What do you dwell on? What do you share with other people? What do you like? All these signals, and like our job is to figure out which signals are signal and which ones are noise. I actually think it's possible for an app like Threads to be multiple things for people, but probably not everything. Like I don't want Threads to be a video app. That wouldn't make sense. We have like a lot of investment in short form video at Instagram and on Facebook.
And even
I
like
think
the
we can just be
political
good at other
infighting, you've
things.
been like, that's something we've not really.
I don't need to do that. Like,
right?
I think that there's a space for the text format that's really big. And my biggest takeaway from the last few years of Threads, which when we first started it, I think we very much saw growing the app as We need to pull people from other services to grow. I've been really pleasantly surprised at how we've grown the category. There's a lot of people that use Threads that never used X or similar platform in the past. And so that's the thing that I've been really focused on is like, why is that happening? What are those people doing? And a lot of it is like these niche interests. Dating Threads is really big, actually. It's like people, like singles go on Threads and make a post and put it into the Dating Threads community, and they're like, "Hey, I'm looking for love." But then we also, book Threads. There's like a crocheting community. Like I tend to spend my time on sports and pop culture and stuff like that. But there are these very niche communities that we actually built like a communities product so that you can find those people and kind of make your app about that.
So how does Dear Algo work? Is it plain text or buttons, UI? How can someone actually customize?
We just sort of built it off of so there was this viral moment like a year ago where people were writing, "Dear Algo, show me more tech content," or whatever. Or "Dear Algo, introduce me to people who are into these things." And to say that it didn't work would maybe be incorrect, but it's like the system wasn't architected for that to be like a strong signal.
Totally.
Yeah.
Of course, if you write about a thing and you like a bunch of content about it, maybe the algorithm will pick up, you want to see more of that, but it wasn't working with like high intent. So now if you just go type Dear Algo into a post on Threads, it like tags itself blue. You can say, the other day, actually, because I'm a Patriots fan, I was like, stop showing me NFL content. And for 3 days, I got nothing about the NFL in my feed. It was amazing. Like, I don't even know if the Seahawks parade happened. Like, it didn't cross my timeline. But then you can also say, show me more of something. So actually, I think I made one the other day that was like, show me more real grass people from the halftime show, not AI generated ones. And that worked. The reason why we're able to do it is because content understanding and like topic trees have just gotten so much better with LLMs. Like 5 years ago, we might have had you as dog, sports, cars. Now it's like this specific model of this car, which is associated with this brand, which is made in this country.
It's like a million parameters that no human can understand, but it's way better. Just like ad targeting. Love it.
You will get like a rejection if you say like show me more murder. We will be like, we can't do that. If you say show me more of something that's like so niche that we don't have enough content, we'll tell you like, hey, there's not enough content for this. And then we actually tell you in the feed when you see something that's because of the request that you made, it'll be like marked as such so that you know what you're getting.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's fun. You guys should try it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I've been waiting for the plain text interface to the.
Jordy could make his first Threads post today, maybe by trying it.
I will do that.
I checked your profile.
I haven't done one.
No.
I gotta. All right, I'm gonna get there.
I don't mean to shame you on the live stream.
It does a cross posting.
Today, I'll be on there at Jordy Hayes on Threads. Find me there.
I made my first X post in 3 years today. Because you guys tagged me on there, and I wanted to route people to Threads.
There you go. Always be selling.
Yeah, exactly.
Always be selling.
Always be selling. Well, the app looks absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I love
number 3 in the App Store.
I love the polish.
Really
anywhere
good.
from 2 to 3. I want to get that number 1.
Do you like wake up and check the App Store charts?
No, that is not a thing I do. I wake up and I look at like 6 dashboards.
Also, just to be clear,
it might help if you put a big monitor in the office that just has your App Store position.
that'll make it work.
Usually, when you put things up like that, it tends to like.
That's a great tip. I'm sure my team will really enjoy that.
Anyway, thank you,
dude. It's great to hang.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you guys.
We'll talk to you soon. You heard Martin talk about it, but now you're going to hear me talk about it. 11 Labs, build intelligent real-time conversational agents, reimagine human technology interaction with 11 Labs. And I'm also going to tell you about Fin.ai, the #1 AI agent for customer service. If you want AI to handle your customer support, go to Fin.ai. And
up next,
Alex Buzzari. He's the co-founder and CEO of DDN. He's in the Reach Room waiting room, and now he's in the TBPN Ultra.
What's happening?
How are you doing, Alex? Good to meet you.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We expected you to suit Magus.
Yes,
you certainly
the
have.
outfit is fantastic.
You certainly have.
What's the background on the suit? Have you always been to fashion? Is it particularly?
I've always been into fashion. I'm sure you guys appreciate it because you're definitely not like everybody else. So.
Yes.
Well, no, we'll hit you up after the show for some tailor recommendations. But very excited to meet.
Yeah. Well, first time on the show, please give us an introduction.
So, CEO, co-founder of DDN. DDN solves all the data problems associated with AI implementation for enterprises, sovereign, so nations, countries, large-scale deployments. NVIDIA uses us internally for everything they do. Elon, Large, Grok, on 200,000 GPUs, is powered by DDN, hundreds and hundreds of deployments like that. So that's what we do. We solve the problems of AI, and we help organizations monetize AI, because it's great to invest, but if you don't monetize, what's the point?
What's your background? How did you get into this business? How long ago was it?
Been in technology forever.
Yeah.
Born in France, came to the US in my early 20s, went to school here, loved it, and then just did a bunch of technology companies. This one, my partner and I started about 20 some years ago.
Wow.
At the time, we were solving the problems of
Overnight
high
success.
computing.
Yeah.
So high performance computing is basically government labs, academia, trying to solve complex technology problems. I mean, those guys were our customers. We ended up powering 60 out of the 100 fastest supercomputers in the world, in every country, basically, three-letter agencies,
Yeah.
Department of Defense, Department of Energy. And then this little thing called AI started to happen. And so NVIDIA came to us and tapped us on the shoulder, and they said, well, we're trying to stand up a reference architecture. That was 8 years ago. And they said, we have all the pieces, we don't have the data. And so we became part of that architecture. NVIDIA became our customer. And, you know, here we are 8 years later. AI is booming, as you know, as you see. I mean, it's expanding, exploding in every aspect, every industry. And that's been the journey. And the journey is super exciting.
Walk us through, obviously, you're quite bullish on AI and implementing it across every possible industry, but how did you personally kind of process the different evolutions and paradigms from, you know, the transformer architecture to all the different steps that we've had since then?
Sure. Great. And that's a great question. I mean, look, when NVIDIA came to us 8 years ago, I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody realized how quickly it was going to grow and evolve. And so we walked away from that first meeting saying, well, we need to develop a radically different architecture. And that architecture for AI to be successful needs to connect edge. So edge devices, think of that as autonomous cars. Think of it as sensor data, robots in factories that move things around. So it has to connect the edge to the data center where the data is getting processed, analyzed. That's where a lot of the NVIDIA infrastructure is being deployed, and then multi-cloud. And so the evolution really was, as NVIDIA and other companies have been deploying faster and faster GPUs, the resulting factor is that there's a scarcity in the number of GPUs available in the world. Scarcity in power. There's not enough power in the world, and there's not enough data center footprint in the world. So our technology has basically evolved to adapt to these limitations. Organizations are spending millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. We have customers who are spending tens of billions in building out infrastructure. Well, if that infrastructure is not productive and is not delivering value, then it's wasted and the ROI just doesn't work out. So we've evolved our software stack, call it the data plane, to ensure that these infrastructures are running in the most effective way possible, irrespective of what power shortages might be or data center footprint shortages might be, or the number of GPUs that are available. So that's really been our evolution. It's been, you know, lock in step. A lot of it guided by NVIDIA. I mean, our engineers and their engineers interact on a daily basis across all aspects of NVIDIA's engineering. And the primary problem is, how do you make it easier for enterprises to implement AI in their environment in a non-disruptive way? I mean, in essence, you're dealing with CIOs who are like, well, I don't want to have any glitches, because if I have glitches, I'm going to get fired. And line of business people who are saying, hey, I want to benefit from AI in developing better, more compelling, more competitive products and services. So you have this tension, which means you have to make it easy for them to deploy in their environment. You have to make it risk-free. And so with NVIDIA and others, we've developed these integrated solutions that are industry-specific, that can be deployed and make it easy for enterprises to bring in AI into their environment and benefit from it. So it's really that. I think we're moving from an early adopter phase, which is a handful of organizations are benefiting from AI, the hyperscalers, the chat GPTs of the world, the Groks of the world, into one where the industrialization of AI is underway. And I think that's one of the most compelling things that is happening out there. But for that to take place, it has to be easy.
The latest earnings cycle, I think everyone was shocked by some of the CapEx numbers that were coming out from the hyperscalers. Was that surprising to you, or?
Not really, because again, we're very, very close to the center of the universe, which is Jensen. and if you look at it, I mean, the CapEx.
Jensen was saying, like in Q4 of last year, he was throwing out numbers that implied that the hyperscalers would be raising their CapEx projections massively. So it shouldn't have been that much of a surprise. But when Jensen was first saying it, he's obviously a salesman. And it felt, of course, it feels a lot more real once they're throwing out,
Well, I mean, look,
billion.
if you think about it, the hyperscalers have a software suite which they're monetizing across a very broad population, hundreds of millions of users, billions of users. And so you look at that CapEx and you align it with how much they're charging and how sticky the offering is, you just got to do it. Because if you do, one hyperscaler will emerge, I think, as a leader. I mean, just like the Google search engine, there will be one leader, and then there will be a number of others who will have market share, but they won't be the leading market provider. And I think everybody has come to the conclusion that you have to invest very, very heavily, because without massive infrastructure deployments, you cannot train the model at the level of complexity that is required, at the real-time elements that are required in order to deliver outcomes to organizations and consumers. So I think it's really that. Everybody is racing to be the market share leader in this newly created space. I mean, Google is doing it. Yeah. OCI is doing it. Microsoft is doing it. Meta is doing it.
Yeah.
There will be one leader.
Getting a little bit more specific, software engineers have done an excellent job creating and adopting a bunch of AI tools. What are maybe some under-discussed areas that you're seeing AI adopted and real usage growth that the kind of broader tech community is less focused on, because these are maybe companies or industries that aren't typically at the center of the conversation?
Sure. I mean, look, the places where we see significant traction, financial services, because the ROI pencils out beautifully. I mean, it's a no-brainer. The better your models are, the more complex you can run those models, the faster you can get outcomes, the more differentiation you create, and so the better return to your shareholders. So
that's like companies that are doing trading or
think hedge funds, high-frequency traders. We have some very large customers in that space. Those are very technical organizations. Typically, the people who are in these organizations have come from the world of high-performance computing, so they understand the benefits of it. And so, that's one bucket, which I think will continue to expand. Second area is life sciences. Anything having to do with drug discovery, bringing a new drug to market, genomics. The costs associated with bringing a new drug to market are staggering. It's billions of dollars. It's years and years of development. And so in the end, if you find yourself with a drug which is being rejected by the FDA, well, you have a problem. So AI gives them the ability to better triangulate what should an optimized drug be to cure a specific disease, and how do you increase the likelihood of that drug getting accepted.
So the cost will still be extreme because of animal studies, human trials, all the different steps, but we could enter a world where you have a higher success rate for drugs that are entering.
Exactly. I mean, it's higher success rate, it's better predictability, and it's also, as the omniverse, digital twin, starts to happen, I mean, the ability to basically run what-if scenarios that you don't have to do in the real world. So if you're bringing a new drug to market and you're saying, well, there's like 8 different ways I could do this, but I'm not sure which one is going to be the best outcome. You run simulation in the omniverse with synthetic data. And then the responses come back saying, well, if you combine parts of the first one and the third one and the fifth one, combine them together, likelihood of success will be higher, the drug will be better. So I think increasingly we're seeing that the omniverse and synthetic data is coming into the mix. Autonomous driving, clearly, because, well, if you have driverless cars on the road, you have to collect data in real time. This is cameras, audio, this, that, the other. You have to continuously reprocess the model at very large scale. So many car manufacturers are our customers in that space. Manufacturing is starting to happen. Again, factory floor automation, retail, just how do you optimize inventory in various types of retail organizations. And then the other really big ones is sovereign AI. I think with what the Trump administration has done, they've created lots of concerns worldwide in terms of, autonomy and risk. And if the US is no longer there to just bankroll you, so you have to protect yourselves in some ways. So we're involved in lots of.
Have you spent much time in France over the last few years? There was obviously a little tiff between the Western, the U.S. tech community and Macron last week around. He came out with an announcement that was kind of intentionally misinterpreted a little bit, and then he was
By who, Jordy?
Maybe by me, but he was kind of putting out charts of showing foreign investment and we've heard from that a number of labs have been excited about the energy availability in France and look to capitalize on that, but kind of just kept running into different blockers, kind of from a regulatory standpoint or a general speed standpoint. But what's your kind of take on France's progress around sovereign AI and just kind of catalyzing the industry locally?
So look, I mean, one of the organizations in France that's very, very active in the space is a company called Mistral. So Mistral is our customer. So we're deployed in their infrastructure. I think, look, at the end of the day, lots of super, super smart people in Europe in general, France, Germany, UK, all of it. But the scale of investments is just not at the same level as the US and China. I mean, so today it continues to be a two-horse race. I think it's US and China. And the Middle East is starting to deploy massive resources into it. I mean, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we're involved in those infrastructure build-outs, so sovereign AI. The good thing there is that the cost of energy is very low. Land availability is very, very significant. And there's a desire to really step up what KSA is doing. Likewise in UAE. And well, there are geopolitical tensions between the two, but I think both have aspirations to set themselves up on the world stage as being the third player. Europe, I think, will be there, no question. But Europe, I mean, all these countries have centuries of history, and so getting things done quickly, easily is not quite there. Whereas in the Middle East, well, you have one decision maker. And if that decision maker says go, it goes with infinite resources. I mean, right? Trillions of dollars under management in both places. So making a multi-$100 billion investment is nothing.
Straightforward. When you look at where DDN is spending money on software today, how do you think that'll change over the next 5 years? We've been covering the SaaS apocalypse. And it seems like a number of great companies today could be comparable to the sort of office equipment and imaging companies of like the 90s, where they had the revenues were really high, but then the internet and email and the PDF came along, and suddenly people just needed less fax machines and all that kind of thing.
Sure. I mean, look, I think the market is overreacting in some ways, as it sometimes does. So, somebody makes an announcement and then everybody freaks out. Oh my God, this whole industry is going to get commoditized. Everybody's going to go out of business. ServiceNow is going to go out of business. My God. I think you have the forward-thinking organizations in SaaS who are adopting and integrating AI into their offering. And I think those will do well, provided that they do it at very high velocity. And then you have the ones who will be more traditional in their thinking and in the way they operate. And I think those will go by the wayside. I mean, just look at IBM. IBM is a perfect example. Look at Intel. I mean, these are companies that had everything to succeed. I mean, why is it that NVIDIA is where they are and Intel is not? Well, because of velocity of execution and the ability to adopt something that is happening that is completely different from what it was before was not quite there in the culture of the organization. So I think the way to look at it is which organizations have leaders who are embracing the change, not fighting it, and who are going to integrate it into their portfolio and forge the right alliances. I mean, you could say the same thing about GSIs, Accenture, Deloitte, all of these organizations. I mean, Accenture has what, 750,000 employees? How many of those are going to be relevant in this AI-enabled world? Well, Accenture has to completely transform the way they operate and the value that they deliver. Otherwise, it will just go like that. So you need really forward-looking, visionary leadership that will force the change. Because if you stay in your comfort zone and you think, oh, I have a great business, like you said, the top line is steady, the bottom line is fine, you will get whacked. That's just the way it is. I mean, look, this at which AI is operating, it's Jensen speed. Is pulling the whole industry at a velocity which very few can follow. The speed at which he is turning the GPUs, the integration of the software stack and the ecosystem into the GPU enablement. The open source approach he's taking. I don't know if you saw his CES keynote. He's basically developing turnkey integrated software stacks and is open sourcing them in order to accelerate adoption industry by industry. I mean, what he did with Mercedes, it's okay. Here's an open source software stack. So it's kind of the opposite of what Elon was doing at Tesla, which is a closed architecture. It's like, I'm opening it up because if I open it up, I will accelerate the adoption of AI by the automotive industry, and they will buy more of my GPUs. So I will put 5,000 engineers on this for many, many years, and then I will put it out there. I mean, it's a meta, really. Accelerating adoption.
Yeah, when you think about kind of forecasting and planning for your business, are you more scared of a like chip bottleneck or energy bottleneck when we talk to different?
I would also like to put in research idea bottleneck and energy bottleneck. There's sort of 4 categories that people are worried about progress halting on. Chip. And
to date,
ideas,
it's been obviously oscillating between chips,
data,
and energy, and
energy.
I'd love to know that. So look, the ability to process. So I mean, think of AI as you have models, you need to train the models, then you need to layer analytics on top of it, and then the most important part, which creates value, is inference. From that data, you need to get value. So, I always say we are to data what NVIDIA is to compute. And in order to do AI successfully, you need to combine the two together. So what that means is an infrastructure can only deliver benefits if it is cost effective. And in order to accelerate the adoption of AI, you need to make it cost effective. These shortages will continue, I think, for the next several years. And so you have to say, given the limitations that I have, how do I make these AI workloads more effective and have the ROI pencil out across industries? I mean, I was at NVIDIA yesterday, actually, and we were talking about that. How do we accelerate the adoption of AI by enterprises? Well, by packaging turnkey solution that optimize outcomes. How do you make sure that these agentic AI organizations that are providing services, and unfortunately these services are very consumptive of tokens, which means many of these companies are now upside down. They're losing money because what they're charging to their customers does not tie into what it's costing them because they're relying on AI. So I think the cost reduction and the compression in terms of tokens required to perform a certain task is really what it is. So I think it's a software play. The underlying infrastructure, eventually it will happen. I mean, SSD shortages, NAND shortages. I mean, we deploy our data plane on top of storage, SSDs, hard drives, and so on. Well, over the last few months, the cost of SSDs has tripled. So it's significant, and it's not available on top of it. Now, we happen to have an architecture where we can tie into SSDs or hard drives and so on. So our customers are able to do the same, if not better, with less money. But I mean, these are issues, but these are transient issues. I think eventually the problem that needs to be solved is how do you ensure that a task that is performed for a consumer for an enterprise is cost effective for the organizations that are delivering that service. And it's really that. I mean, that's what we're very focused on. That's what our partners are very focused on. That's why many of our interactions with NVIDIA revolve around this. How do we make sure that we make it easier to deploy, easier to integrate, and lower the cost of power, lower the cost of building data centers, compress the velocity. I mean, look, what Elon did with his data center, and we were involved every step of the way. I mean, he built out the data center in 4.5 months, which was unheard of. I mean,
when you and the team heard the initial timelines that they were planning around, did you believe it?
I said it's completely mad because we had done probably more than 100 large data center deployment, and I had never seen it done in less than 3 years. Yeah. And when the X team first came to us and said, "Oh, we're going to do it in 4.5 months," I said, "That is just ludicrous. How is that even possible?" But see, the way he did it, instead of hiring people who were experts in building data centers, and all of them would have said, it's impossible, mental block, right? Mm-hmm. If you've never seen it done in less than 3 years, and somebody tells you 4.5 months, he goes, it's impossible, this is stupid. So what he did is he hired very, very smart people who were very good at connecting the dots outside of the box. And he said, okay, I want this done in 4.5 months, figure out how to do it. And they did it. I mean, we were there with them Christmas, New Year's, weekends, 24/7. I mean, there were mattresses in the hallways. I mean, everybody was sleeping there. It was just working to get it done. And he got it done. Now, it was extremely painful, but he got it done. And so you go, okay, so the new benchmark now is not 3 years. It can be done in 4.5 months.
Have you seen any other either Neo labs or labs or hyperscalers be able to replicate that kind of timeline? Like once he set the bar?
China. They are very, very good. I mean, we are so behind. We are so behind. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've developed models. I mean, I was looking at what they're doing in data centers. I mean, the first one is the cost metric. I mean, in the US, the cost metric is 10 to 15 grand per kilowatt to build a data center. In China, they're able to do it for between a third and a fifth of that. Why can't we do it? Because they're looking at it in a very optimized manner. What Elon did, he did the first one in 4 months, lots of issues. Then he did another 3. And lessons learned from the first one, he applied to the next 3. By the fourth one, he's like, okay, I got this. And then he did the next 32. And the Chinese are doing it the same way. They're not looking at each one of these as a one-off. They're saying, we really have to focus on optimizing, and then we replicate. And that's something we need to do better in the US, for sure. For sure. How do we lower the cost to build a data center, and how do we compress the time to build a data center? And China is way ahead of us right now. They're just way ahead. It's reality.
Well, hopefully more Colossus data centers coming online soon.
I know, but I mean, it needs to be done. I think the good thing is people are realizing that China is very good at certain things. Yeah. And instead of saying, well, no, we're just going to ignore them, they're saying, okay, how do we learn? I mean, I had a meeting with one of our large customers from the Middle East, and we're actually going through the design architectures from China, looking at how they do it. And we're like, okay, how do we apply that to doing it in the Middle East in a very modular manner? And it's really remarkable. I mean, again, we're not talking about 20, 30% cost improvement or timeline compression. It's when you say 3 to 5 times, the economics associated with that are huge.
Yeah, dramatic.
I mean, it's just massive.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. That's, wild. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again soon.
Great to meet you, Alex.
Chat. We'll talk to you soon.
Same here.
Have a good rest of your weekend. Let me tell you about LabelBox. Reinforcement learning environments, voice robotics, evals, and expert human data. LabelBox is the data factory behind the world's leading AI teams. Let me also tell you about Vibe.co, where D2C brands, B2B startups, and AI companies advertise on streaming TV, pick channels, target audiences, and measure sales just like on Meta. Up next, we have Brett Adcock. He's the founder and CEO of Figure and about 12 other companies. Serial entrepreneur with a massive release today. Brett, how are you doing? Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Great.
I think most people will be familiar, but break it down. Where is Figure now, and give us the news today.
Yeah, so we, well, several months ago, we unveiled Figure 3, our third generation humanoid robot. This morning, we actually gave a sneak peek at a future roadmap item we've been working on for about over 3 years, which is our newest generation hand.
Yeah.
I think we've been working on this project basically since the beginning. Our generation 1 was like this tendon-based hand that we designed in 2022.
Sure.
Had tons of problems with it, and we've basically been working on trying to reach human, like, how do we approach human parity in terms of hand dexterity and sensors?
Yeah. Does anything else about the robot really even matter if the hands aren't like human level capable?
I think like one thing we're realizing is like more and more, if we want to like learn from humans, we need to like look and do human-like things. So even like from a visual perspective, like having the right kinematics of the hands so that we can do human-like stuff. Meaning like if a human folds like socks or towels a certain way, like we need to really understand how to be able to do that on the robot. And so if we truly want to do like full general purpose work in a home across the whole world at billion unit levels, we have to start approaching like human like level dexterity.
There's somebody going for a stroll in the background.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that just a walk cycle? Is that scripted? Is that did the robot independently decide to walk behind you right now? What's going on?
We literally have hundreds of robots here on our campus in California. They're everywhere. They're all over the place.
Okay. Yeah. Why jump straight to full dexterity, humanoid form factor? Why not wheels? Why not pincher, grabber, more incremental? We've seen Amazon acquire that robotics company just to sort of move packages around. There is a logical chain of events that you could do more incrementally, but you're going for the moonshot straight away, it feels like. What informed that decision?
Listen, we have like a very deep respect to trying to do what like human level work in the world without changing the world too much. And if like we as humans built the whole world around the way we look and feel, like the way we like move around the world. So we like, we use tools, doors, like stairs, like we've like built the world so that human body can interact with. The ultimate form factor for this is a human. Like if you start like removing like the ability to like have legs or fingers or the different stuff, you're just going to do less of what humans do in the world. So our view is that we want to go out and basically do everything a human can. That approach is basically a human form in the limit. So we went after the hardest problem here, which is like, how do you design humanoid hardware? How do we design neural networks now to work on that hardware? It's a really difficult problem, but it's like super tractable. This is a problem that will be solved in our lifetime. In the coming years and decade, we will see like millions of humanoids out in the world doing all kinds of things.
Weird.
What's your bar to get to the point where you're selling a robot that somebody can buy and put in their home and start doing tasks? Because there's a lot of, I'm sure you're testing this stuff constantly, and you're able to do tasks like laundry or moving dishes from a sink, cleaning dishes, etc. And yet the bar is an individual just saying, well, I can just, do this myself. It's quick. So that's one. You have to overcome that. It has to be so good, so consistent. But like, what do you think is the bar? There's obviously companies like 1X that are pushing hard to, get robots into homes.
Even
you guys are
if it
pushing
requires teleoperation,
pushing hard
so
too.
fast.
Elon is obviously, adapting his Fremont facility, right, to be able to, make these at scale. But I think everybody's sitting around being like, okay, once I can hit buy on one of these things, the amount of pressure that the first company that kind of comes out, if you don't count Unitree, but the first American company to come out with a robot, the pressure to actually deliver real value when people are like, hey, I just spent 30 grand on this, 40 grand, 50 grand, the pressure is going to be immense. What is the bar for you?
Yeah, I would say like the thing that really matters here in the world is getting to a spot where you have a humanoid robot that can go off and do like many minutes and then hours and days of work fully autonomously with neural networks. Like that's the bar. And if I think if you look at like who's doing that today? There's not a single group out there that can recreate the video we did 2 years ago, which is basically we had a figure one just moving Keurig around with a couple hands for like a minute or two. That was done with neural nets. We were just standing in place. It was uncut. It was a few minutes long. And I haven't seen a single company in the world able to do that today. So we can like pretend that we're like teleoperating robots and be super silly and act like that's going to work. It's not going to work. We have to deploy neural nets at scale to robots that can be fully general purpose over a long period of time without any human intervention. So for Figure, I think we're just like by far and away the best example of being able to do this today. And we're still like, we still have so much more to go in order to be able to put it into a home like for days and days and be like extremely useful in that respect. So right now we're able to do like pockets of this work really well. Like we're able to do like clean up the home, do like, we can fold laundry, we can do dishes. Like this stuff is being done with neural nets, like, fully end to end. And a lot of times like doing it pretty high performance. So my view is like, we will only launch a product here at Figure into the home when we're really ready. I think the world will only accept the product into the home when it's really ready too. Nobody's gonna deal with like silly teleoperating in the home, things like this.
Yeah, the other thing is like we've seen with a number of hardware like the Humane Pin. You had the Rabbit R1. Like people might be willing to try like a digital product like a couple times, even if a lot of people will try it. If they have a bad experience, they won't come back. Some people might try it again.
ChatGPT got better.
Whereas with hardware, it really feels like if you launch a hardware product and it doesn't deliver real utility, you lose everyone. Like it basically kills the company.
Yeah.
So the bar is just so high.
Yeah,
so timelines. You guys have the benefit of being private, even though you have a valuation, somewhere around the range of Ford. You have time to figure this stuff out. What are the timelines that you're setting internally? What are you rallying the team around?
Yeah, we're working like kind of two paths. How do we ship robots in the industrial workforce as fast as possible? That track is pedal to the metal like every single day. We have many different customers there, fully signed up, ready to go, and we're excited to. We had robots at BMW last year. We have like more robots going into commercial customers this year. The second is we want to solve a general purpose robot, like solve general robotics in a home, and the best, one of our top goals is like be able to drop a robot of ours into an unseen home this year and do like full general purpose end-to-end work. And it's extremely tough. I think we can go do it, but we're working like day and night to go get there. It's basically how do we design. It's the closest thing to like AGI for physical world, right? Like how do we get something that can like have common sense in a home? That you can talk with, it can understand things. Maybe you can teach it something on the fly and can watch you, and then ultimately be able to carry out those tasks at high performance all throughout the day. So my hope is we can make material progress on this year. Like our goal is like working day and night to try to solve this. To the extent we can hit this goal of like being able to do full end-to-end work, there's other like barriers of like privacy and safety and other things that are really hard that we're also parallelizing. But my hope is by the end of this year, we're making considerable progress towards this, being able to like show like some crazy, insane things with these robots in these type of environments. But this is a separate track to like the commercial side. Like we're already out, and we've already been out being able to do this. We're going to go out even larger this year in 2026. They'll deploy robots at scale. This is important for us to get like a real operational readiness. Like how do we make sure we can run robots at scale really well here at Figure?
Yeah. And it's all. I mean, I'd say like much more straightforward to have a robot in a setting where you have trained professionals probably wearing hard hats that can be kind of monitoring the robots from far away. You're not dealing with the safety risk of like a robot falling on a dog or on a kid or any of the other challenges in the home. What's your timeline to a robot humanoid being able to bench 2 plates? Is that an interesting problem to solve?
It's the only problem that's interesting to me.
Because for us, that we're very fascinated on when that'll happen.
Yeah, is it bench or squat? What do we want to do here?
Squat is probably the overall compound lift. Squat, yeah, I feel like is pretty
1,000-pound club ideally, but we'll take just bench press if that's what you got.
I mean, we should if we can bench press that, we should be worth at least twice a Ford, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I agree.
just for
100%,
that,
100%.
the tickets to the bodybuilding competition.
No, but I feel like even as silly as that sounds,
it is an interesting benchmark. Yeah.
I think
I mean, over in China, they're doing robot Olympics. They're doing marathons. They're doing all sorts of stuff. You know, it is a tactile.
Yeah. Okay. Can we be real for a minute on all this stuff?
Yes.
Like, let's be real serious. What really matters, I think, for us as humans is we look at the distribution of what humans do. It's like useful, and we try to do as much of that as possible.
Yeah.
These things where we run like marathons, or we do backflips, or we do karate moves, or we like try to deadlift 300 pounds, they're not in the main part or the fat part of the distribution.
Yeah.
They don't matter. And if you really want to size for those and do those, you're going to build a really expensive and heavy and unsafe robot that's hard to manufacture.
Yeah.
You're going to build like a super duty truck. Yeah. And like people want the $10,000-$20,000 humanoid that can do general purpose work, right? That's what we want. So if you're trying to size a robot to do those kind of things, like silly things, I think of like those like gymnastics and other stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to build a very specialized robot that can do like a very small percentage of what normal humans do every single day.
Yeah.
So our goal is to build a general purpose robot to do the majority of what humans can do out there. We want to do like laundry and dishes and be a companion. I want to ship robots at scale and a billion unit level into the workforce to do logistics and healthcare and build buildings and build data centers. Like that's the stuff we want to do. I don't need to do backflips to do any of that work. I want other robots building other robots. So I think like, I don't know. I mean, I think you look at the silly stuff out there. It's not only not important for the roadmap, it makes the hardware extremely like heavy and hard and expensive. And all that causes more problems. So like none of that matters in our mind. I figure we, every once in a while we'll put a robot on a DJ stage with dead mouse and stuff for fun, but like we're definitely not trying to design a robot to be great at that.
Yeah.
We want to be great at like the things I do every day and you guys probably do every day. Yeah. I mean, you guys are probably deadlifting 300 pounds, but like at least for me every day, I'm trying to like just do normal practical stuff that billions of people today are doing that we can help offset.
How do you think, let's say we get the iPhone moment for humanoids, hopefully in the next few years, and that it's a piece of hardware that has real utility that a lot of people are buying. How do you think the kind of form factor evolves? Do robots over time look, do they follow the iPhone path and that they get like thinner, lighter, that kind of thing? Is there like what have you been learning so far that maybe people kind of misunderstand about the form factor long term?
Yeah, the long-term form factor is more and more approaching the average human in terms of like the range of motion, payloads and speeds, and like what you can do. If you're too short or too tall, you're just like, you're not in the right habitat for like interacting with a human world that well. So in an extreme case, if 3 foot tall, it's like really hard to get most things out of cupboard or get into the the sink or reach over a table. They actually become really practically hard to go do. So it's going to be like an average human size overall. I think we're in like I'll make an argument here that we're in the pre-iPhone stage. We're in the flip phone stage for humanoids. And I think we know this better than anybody. We've been building them like crazy. We have our 3rd generation out in 3 years. We've walked 3 generations in 3 years. I think what you'll see here is that we're trying to find this ideal product fit, like long-term where that's headed. And we're like learning every year where that's going. It certainly means being more human-like in our minds. So we can unlock more percentage of this distribution we just talked about earlier. I think I'll make a statement that's pretty bold, is that when you look at like figure 1 to figure 2 to figure 3, we've had to like step up in performance and they're just better and better every year. When we head to figure 4 here, it'll be the largest step up we've ever made by a long shot. It'll be the first time that we feel that we probably hit like iPhone 1 level humanoid, where it's just like, this is the right place to be in. And then this will go extremely far to a point where it saturates at some point in the future, maybe 10 more years. But we feel like relatively early. It's an extremely difficult piece of technology. It's obviously early in this, so it's got to be like earlier than phones, right? We're not there yet. So, but I think the iPhone 1 moment will happen with figure 4, and it's just an unbelievable machine. And I never would have suspected we'd be able to make that big of a move. When figure 3 shipped, I'm like, this is it. This is like the best it'll ever get. And then, the more we learned and ran it, and the more we developed neural nets here with Helix, the more we really understood better about like what the hardware should look like and be like. And the more we got folks in the room together with us and said, how do we radically redesign the head, the hands, the kinematic systems, like all of it from scratch. And I think you're going to see something. I mean, this stuff is just going to get crazier and crazier in capabilities.
What are your goals around consistency? So for example, a robot that can unload my dishwasher, if 1 out of 100 times it like breaks a plate into 200 pieces, maybe that's not that big of a deal if it can pick them all up easily and I'm not home and I don't see that you're exploding the plate. But what level of like consistency do you guys need to get to before you'd be at a point where you can sell one of these things?
I would say like we probably need something pretty high. I think it would suck pretty bad if you're at my house and dropped like the #1 mom coffee cup. You're getting your ass booted, right? Like I think you got to be, especially around safety and stuff. Like this needs to be super high performance. So we watch folks that are trying to like teleoperate and ship early when the product doesn't even work, and it's just silly. They're all going to die. You got to ship something really high quality, and that is just like a super hard thing to do. So I figure we'll ship into the home when we're ready. We're not ready right now. We're trying to get I'm here till midnight every night, 7 days a week, try to get more ready with my team. I hope we hit some place where we're getting really, really close this year. Is what I really hope.
How are you processing?
But you're right.
Yeah. How are you pressing the Waymo story of teleop? Because I was completely on board with the Elon pitch for straight shot to FSD, collect a bunch of data from the cars that are on the road, train the big neural network, and FSD. I mean, we talked to Alex Roy, who drove without touching the steering wheel all the way from LA to New York. Like it clearly works. At the same time, a lot of people in San Francisco hop into Waymo and they're like, that works too. And so it was a bit of a narrative violation where a lot of people were saying like the Waymo teleop model will never scale, and it feels like it's scaling. So how is there a world where both approaches work, or are they fundamentally like different industries?
I think what I'm seeing in the space here, and it's been like a pretty big shock, is like everybody in the humanoid space is just teleoperating the robot with a human in the back, and they're putting out a video out and not being very explicit. It's very different than this. It'd be like the most analogy for your Waymo Tesla of like your Waymo's being driven by some dude in Kentucky, not with neural nets. Waymo has neural networks. The way they went about with the sensor suite to go do it is maybe harder to scale than cameras. The situation happening in humanoids is like there's a large percentage of the companies out there that are like have a dude in the back, like that are like teleoperating with the robot in real time. And then like, we've done everything we've ever put out publicly. It's always been with neural nets on like, stuff we've done. We've never teleoperated that, in that case, like any of those videos. So it's just like the self-driving stuff's not the greatest analogy. You're definitely not going to be able to human teleoperate in people's homes, and the latencies will be terrible. The data coming back will be terrible. Train neural nets. It's just not enough data. So there's just a bunch of problems with that story, and it's not going to work. If it would work fast and we can get product market fit and get out earlier, we would do it. It's just dead end completely. You really want to solve like for real neural nets, real autonomy from the get-go.
How big of a bottleneck is data? What are you guys doing to solve it? Like, is there hardware breakthroughs that you guys are looking to achieve, or do you feel like obviously you have the new hand, which sounds like it's a step up, but what are kind of the key bottlenecks?
We just unveiled Helix 2 about 3 weeks ago. It's a robot that can basically do like fully end-to-end whole body work. We did it in like unloading the dishwasher and rerunning it. That was basically the whole stack. There was basically neural nets basically all the way down the stack. The only reason why it could do that now, or like let's say go from there to do laundry, is just a data problem. Like we need just more data to cover the distribution of those new tasks, and then the robot can do it at this point. So we feel like the longest pole in the tent prior to like extremely high rate manufacturing is how do we acquire data at like a really high clip. And so we're spending a lot of time on that. That gets you to a point where like, acquiring data through teleoperation is just not going to even be close. You have to embrace like learning from humans at scale. That's kind of figures like, core model as it comes to Helix for neural nets. And I would say if we could snap our fingers and have enough of the right data today, you would have a general purpose sci-fi future of robots in our office right now that we'd be able to put anywhere. Like we have it. It's just, we are just extremely data constrained. It's not as simple as just like going out and getting random data. It's like, it's got to be the right type of data to match the observations and action spaces of the models well. But we now know what that data is. We are acquiring that data like crazy here at Figure. We'll spend 9 figures of capital on acquiring data like this in 2026. So it's a huge focus for us. We think it's by far and away the biggest bottleneck to get to general robotics.
Yeah. How do you think about China in the context of the race for humanoid robots? Obviously, there's competition from humanoid robot makers there, but there's also a bunch of great part suppliers at all levels of the supply chain that might be useful to build American humanoid robotics companies. How does that puzzle play out?
I mean, listen, I think like as it relates to competition, I think what's extremely important is seeing robots that can do like human-like work with neural networks that's useful. We haven't seen any of that out of China today.
Oh,
they really don't have any hands.
Good on hardware, but they're still behind on software.
Well, I would say like you probably don't have good enough hardware if you're not able to do the software really well. They don't have enough compute in a lot of cases to run like things like Helix on board. Unitree, for example, has a very tiny computer where you can run like very small reinforcement learning controllers to do like open loop replay of stuff. They wouldn't be able to run Helix on a board of hardware like that. They don't have any real human-like hands of 5 fingers. So you're really missing a couple of big parts of the story. Beyond that, I think they've been great in existing kind of industrial robotics and existing consumer electronics the last like several decades. I think those are playing a big part of the ecosystem supply chain for humanoids that are important in some cases. But listen, we basically design almost everything internally here at Figure. We don't go buy designs from China or elsewhere. We do it all here internally. We even manufacture the robots next door in our campus here. We have a Figure 3 robot now coming off the line every 3 hours, and I think we'll be at every half an hour here in the coming few months. So we're like things are coming out at a pretty high clip. But I think today, like if you look at like who's doing the best human-like work with neural nets over long time horizons, it's not China. And I think we can. I think we feel at least a few years ahead of anything we're seeing out of there.
What's compute like? You're mentioning you're working so intently on neural nets. You have to train those. Are you at a point where a training run is run on a massive cluster? It costs 9 figures or something like that, or is it more data collection at this point, and then the actual training run is pretty tight?
Yeah, we spent like hundreds of millions of dollars on compute. That is,
Founder mode.
There we go.
There we go. We spent a bunch that went live already. So our next giant like step up is going into April, like 1st of April.
Yeah.
That's for training Helix models that we're doing here internally, which are quite large in long runs. And then separately, we do all of our inference on board on 2 GPUs in the torso of the robot.
Sure.
So we can run in like cases where we don't have a network. We can run at much faster speeds, and we can put all those models fully on board the system. So all of our robots now are kind of they're running off brains that are all on the robot. So they don't need any outside network to be able to do the work.
So talk about like input and output. Is the network sort of taking in voice input and trying to translate that into plain text actions that then get transformed into motor actions? What is like the reward function for a humanoid robot?
Yeah, we're basically taking in the instructions through text or speech, like what should I be doing?
Yeah.
We're taking in vision from the cameras.
Sure.
And the current state of the robot, like where is it? Like, what is the body doing? Like, what does the sensors look like? And then we're basically processing that on board with Helix 2.
Yeah.
Helix 2 is in outputting basically trajectories of where what the motor should be doing.
Sure.
Basically figuring out like where do I put torque at in every single joint to produce to move my body in a certain way. And I think honestly, one of the hardest problems we've had last 2 years is 2 years ago we were basically doing this coffee work and other type of stuff on tabletops, and it was unbelievable. It was like the first time we're like, man, neural nets on humanoids work. We spent the last 2 years trying to leave the tabletop. How do we walk around with neural nets fully end to end? And it's extremely. It sounds kind of sounds like maybe not the hardest problem in the world. It was been like some of the hardest problem in the world for us. How do we get the whole body, like 30 plus joints, all running at like say 200 times a second and doing the right things with camera frames and a prompt coming in. And that's what we did with Helix 2 unveiled 3 weeks ago, is we had all that done. So it's the first time in 3.5 years where we feel like we have the right technical stack to actually scale, which we didn't have last like several years.
Yeah.
We were running at BMW last year and we're like, man, this is going great. We're learning a lot, but it's not the tech stack I want to scale. And we have that now with Helix 2. So we're really excited to hit the gas on, we're going to hit the gas on this in 2026.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's great to get the update.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I know you said the bench press is silly and things like that, but
not silly.
It's to us.
No, it makes perfect sense.
Even the bar, even just repping out the bar, I'd be pretty excited
It's a little
about.
bit of a meme.
I also think
It's a serious company.
it's a serious company, but even serious companies can have fun.
Yeah.
I'm
Guys,
also
we have
I'm looking forward to the moment that you get a figure robot surfing at Jaws too.
That'd be great.
maybe
Are
a
they
toe-in.
waterproof? Can they swim?
You guys, we got a gym here.
Okay.
You guys swing by.
Okay.
And let's get the figure 3 and you guys in the gym. Let's see how you guys are all. Let's see
Matching
how,
up. Yeah, we'll
let's
figure
match
out
up.
the matchup. Thank you.
Awesome.
Well,
Bye,
have a
guys.
great rest of your day.
Yeah, great to meet you.
We'll talk to
Yeah.
you soon, Brett.
Cheers.
Nice to meet you guys.
Let me tell you about Graphite. Code review for the age of AI. Graphite helps teams on GitHub ship higher quality software faster. And I will also tell you about Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform that grows with your business and lets you sell in seconds, online, in store, on mobile, on social, on marketplaces, and now with AI agents.
There's a company that launched yesterday.
Yes, what company?
OpenClaw for Slack. I don't know what it's called, but they said they launched 3 hours ago, and they just hit 1 million ARR just now. So they made $350 in 3 hours, which is sick. This is 1 million of ARR.
We've done it. We've done
They
it.
did it.
Final form.
They did it.
I saw a fake post that was like Meta acquires OpenClaw for $1 billion or something, and I really had to fact check it because I was like, this seems so possible in this day and age.
I think
but
they
think it
have
was-
that team with Manus.
Yeah. I think the Manus team is in a good spot to sort of bring some of those functionality to bear.
Ring apparently has terminated its partnership with Flock. Their Super Bowl ad did not go as planned.
Huh.
The doorbell company ran an ad during the Super Bowl that touted a search party feature that uses AI to help locate lost pets. People
Sounds amazing.
quickly realized that maybe it could
Get
be
the dogs
tracking
home.
things other than pets. But anyways, they probably are the Super Bowl loser. I was in the end the
didn't
worst
realize that.
blowback of any company that I've seen.
This Cersei post is so good. VCs love to be like, yeah, hedge fund guys may be smarter, but at least I make less money. Good stuff. Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon. We're going to see potentially some very, very large IPOs, unprecedented in size this year. He's agreeing that it's about to rain. It's about to rain. Oh, one of the IPOs that could be going out is Cohere, Aiden Gomez. We got to get him on the show. I'm such a big Aiden Gomez fan. $240 million a year set stage for IPO. This is in TechCrunch. Of course, Aiden Gomez, a Death Grips fan, so you know he's a good time. You know he likes the Death Grips.
Size Gong moment, Airbnb, according to SAR and according to Chesky, has generated $19 billion in cash flow since going public. And
Not gonna vibe code that. Not gonna vibe code a house. You're not gonna vibe code a basement that you can sleep on the couch on. I met my co-founders for my first company on Airbnb.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, moved to Silicon Valley, get into YC, need to find somewhere to stay. Was staying with like a friend who was sort of, not doing a startup, so way different lifestyle, and searched on a service that was actually the most vibe-coded software, but in 2012. It was a mashup between Craigslist and Google Maps, because Craigslist didn't have a Google Maps feature. So if you were looking for housing, you had to just guess where the places were. Insane. So it was called Pad Mapper. And they scraped Craigslist and then put it on a Google map. And so you could click and be like, oh, that's near me. That sounds like a good place. But Pad Mapper Craigslist had given PadMapper a cease and desist. We don't want you scraping us because guess what?
They were, I mean, every single marketplace
Oh, yeah.
created in Silicon Valley
Yeah.
was immediately scraping Craigslist.
Totally.
They've fought back aggressively.
They fought back and they said, hey, we're going to get around to doing Google Maps on Craigslist. And so PadMapper, get out of here. So when my co-founder and I opened up PadMapper, the only data that was still flowing to PadMapper was Airbnb. Because Airbnb, of course, is a marketplace. Doesn't matter if someone else is driving traffic. They love that. They were all over SEO. They wanted other people to flow in. So we didn't know this, but our future friends and co-founders had a large place in Sunnyvale that they had an extra room, and they had thrown that on Airbnb. That showed up on PadMapper. We go over, take a tour, and we're like, this place is sick. It was a disaster. All the toilets were broken. They were like, it's like the Social Network. It's got a pool. It's got a jacuzzi. We're going to be hanging out. It's going to be the best summer ever. The pool and jacuzzi filled with algae, like truly filled with algae. We spent the entire summer being like, we're smart guys. We can beat the algae. Let's go get 1 gallon of bleach. Pour it in. We're like,
we're gonna need
100
gallons,
thousands of gallons.
We're gonna be swimming in bleach.
Yeah, no, it was like there's nothing you could do, and then we were like, there was like a filtration system, but that was super clogged, so we were like, empty out the filtration system, try and take it all apart. But like everyone who was like an expert was like, yeah, you just have to drain this and like declare like pool bankruptcy, basically.
Brutal.
Anyway, it was a good
New York Post says, have an AI girlfriend or boyfriend. Now there's a bar for you. There's a Hell's Kitchen establishment that has been redesigned for those who have AI partners so they can bring along their phone for romantic evening. Very, very dystopian, her moment, but not entirely unsurprising that this bar is pivoting to AI. Like
I mean, it's a good day to launch, right? Because 4.0 is
4.0's deprecated today. Is it still available, or did they stop it at when the clock struck midnight?
I still see it. It's still on my ChatGPT.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the community does, because I did see some posts about people being like, I'm recreating 4.0, I'm fine-tuning some Chinese model. Kimi could be potentially fine-tuned on 4.0 outputs and paid for and distributed.
Yeah.
Like there are other ways for those folks to get what they want, essentially.
It is Valentine's Day weekend, but before we go, Tyler, we did have a recommendation for you this weekend. You mentioned that you've been seeing a lovely lady, and we thought
this was supposed to be abstract.
We thought
this was supposed to be a recommendation for the audience.
Yeah, well, there's a girl that maybe
I can't believe you're doing this.
Maybe Tyler likes, and we were just saying, go surprise. Tell her, hey, tomorrow, just have a bag ready.
This is so out of pocket. Continue.
Have a bag ready. We're gonna go do an overnight trip.
Yeah.
Find a nice hotel.
Nice hotel.
Check in.
Staycation, basically. You're not getting on a flight. You're just going somewhere local, but somewhere nice.
And so, somewhere nice.
Yeah, the beach.
Easy to set up. Check into the hotel.
Yeah.
Maybe get her kind of a spa day.
Yeah.
She goes to the spa. You sit down. And she doesn't know this, but you actually booked her an 8-hour spa, like a full day thing. You sit down.
Time to lock in
on some cheeky pint.
I have cheeky pint. I have Dwarkesh, Dario.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got a lot of stuff.
So lock in, and then just start getting Guinness on room service.
Yes.
You're 21 now.
Pint for
and
pint.
Go every time.
Drink along.
Every time AI is mentioned, you
or every time John takes a sip, take a sip.
Drink a whole beer.
Yeah, and you basically are gonna have 24
so she comes back 8 hours later from her 8-hour spa treatment and is like, what were you doing?
And you can just catch her up to speed on everything you've watched. And I think they really appreciate that.
What did you say? You haven't listened to Dwarkesh Ilya? That one hits like a ton of bricks on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Ask your spouses, ask your girlfriends, your boyfriends, have they listened to Ilya on Dwarkesh? Are their timelines up to date? If not, that's the best Valentine's Day gift you can get them.
I agree.
An up-to-date understanding of what's coming.
But we hope you all have a wonderful weekend. We love you.
Yes.
Thank you for hanging out with us this week.
Yeah.
And
we will be back Tuesday. Monday is a holiday.
It is?
So we're off. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, market's closed.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I'm learning this for the first time.
I'm learning this for the first time.
Yes, we experimented
Dang.
with streaming on holidays, and it was
I'm gonna miss you
there was
guys.
there was not a lot of news. So we'll be
a
back
great long
Tuesday,
weekend.
11 a.m. Pacific. We'll see you then.
Love you.
Nice work, brothers. I'll see you on the next one.